mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our redeemer. And it's in his name, which is his authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect today's message. Amen. Hello, welcome. We're going to try this again today and try to see if we can have Kofi underscore 42 and Kofi underscore 43 up simultaneously. It looks like we're doing better today. Trying with a better device. Got YouTube up as well. So we're thankful and grateful to have everybody. As always, it's Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant to Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, but being a voice to the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. So we're back on. Prayerfully, we'll be able to reach a greater amount of people today by having these platforms on. Thank you to everybody on both TikTok channels, on YouTube. We're trying to get stuff back on track so we can have the podcast going very soon, and then also have Facebook going very soon as well, and catch up on that. And catch up on all those titles going simultaneously. Again, it's been a minute, but we're thankful and grateful we're getting things back in order. We always give all praise and honor to the Most High. We give all praise and honor to him for my wife, the Honorable Amma, who lives a life that's able to be honored. You can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A and D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She's a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. And we're thankful and grateful for those who support her business. The tincture of the month, although she has many tinctures and many natural medicines, that she has for us today in this modern world. The tincture of the month is diabetes. She's actually working on something for next month that I had a chance to try out, and it's very, very great. So we're looking forward to that as well for next month. Thanking everybody who's on, to the moderators, to the ministerial staff, to those who are SOC members of this journey of us in the diaspora, trying to become greater with each other, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on and on, but we're thankful and grateful for everybody for spending some time with us on both Kofi underscore 42, Kofi underscore 43, and YouTube. If you're not aware that there's two of them going on, by the way, please feel free. If you haven't actually there's three of them on TikTok, because they're always trying to take our stuff down. So if you'd like to revisit Kofi underscore 42 and find us there, you can. If you'd like to be able to be part of the community by going to Kofi underscore 43, you can do that. We also have Kofi underscore 44, which we have in case we have to go over there and start doing our lives as well. And of course, you're always welcome to come on YouTube. Just simply look up hashtag find Kofi, hashtag FINDKOFI. You can look up hashtag SOC as well. It stands for Servants of Christ, which is our organization, hashtag SOC as well. But if you were to Google those, just go to any of these devices, especially right now, hashtag find Kofi, or not devices, excuse me, any of these social media outlets, you should be able to find us on there. We're thankful and grateful once again for you spending time with us. So we're going to get ready to get into today. And today, we're going to talk some more about money, because in our culture, we should be learning about equity. But for whatever reason, we don't talk about equity. We should be talking about management. But for whatever reason, we don't talk about management. And we want to make sure that we do that today. So if you want to go ahead and tune in with us, that's what we're getting ready to do. I've been taking my stuff, been taking some great stuff for magnesium to be able to digest, and also to make sure that I'm taking care of myself as far as prostate health, which is very important. So I'm excited. So that's what I was just taking. So people ask sometimes, what in the world are you taking? That's what I was taking right then. But thank you to everybody for being on. We see you, Sister Rhonda, Denise, Dawn. How you doing? Let me come over to Kofi underscore 42, who's over here. Bounty, servant of Yahweh, Aman. That's what's up. Little Chris, how you doing? Sheila, thanks for being part of the community over here on Kofi underscore 43. Who do we have on? Let's see, we have Minister Select Joseph, Minister Tamara, Longfellow. How you doing? Great start to your day as well. Dawn was over here as well. Cool. Anubis, Krypton. Aha, for real. JC Romans, I think. I'm sorry. There we go. It's having a tough time scrolling up. Sister Deborah, Max Payne. How everybody's doing? Is it Max Payne? Max Pink? Max Payne K2. Hello to everybody. Thank you for being on. Hello, is it what, Worm? How you doing? Hello, Sister Tracy. Hello, Antonio. Thanks for being part of the community. Sheila. So as you can see, we got several different platforms going on. I promise I'm going to do my best to make sure that I can get to everybody as much as possible. And but we're thankful and grateful for everybody on here today. I want to talk about don't follow the money. I just said we're going to talk about equity, right? That might not make sense to some, but I say we're going to talk about equity, we're going to talk about finance, we're going to talk about things, but we want to say don't follow the money, right? Now, for those of us who are in this culture, right, and those of us who have this belief system that we have to be in the system but not of it, we got to separate ourselves from the system to do better. How you doing, Rocket? Thanks for being part of the community. How you doing, Lori? How you doing, Rocket Swag Boy? All right, or Rocket Swag Boy, I guess that's what it is. How you doing? So for those of us who are coming on, when I say don't follow the money, that's the way that you can separate yourself from the system. It's a way that you can do better. It's a way that you can be greater. It's a way that you can begin to make sure that you start making decisions that are separate from the system. How you doing, Minister Anais? A lot of us are following the money rather than not following the money. And the people who are over this system, as much as they use money to control, they do not follow money. How you doing, Craig? Thanks for being part of the community. So as much as we'll talk about people who say, oh yeah, you know, follow this, follow that, do this, do that, make sure that you got this, get your trust in order and all that stuff. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do any of that. But what I'm saying is don't get to a place to where you're following the money. Thanks for being part of the community, Tamika Michelle. Appreciate you. Right, how you doing, Sister Cynthia? How you doing, Eugenia? You said God is dead. Well, that's good. It's a good thing I don't worship God. I worship Elohim. They're two different deities. But thanks for being on. So, and watch this. Don't make money your God, because people talk about God is dead, but then they're following money. Well, if you're following money, by definition, you're following your God. So we want to remind you today. We want to offer up for you a solution to a lot of your problems. If you do, some people, you know, we had some people yesterday, last night, telling us that they have zero problems. Right, but just in case you're somebody who does go through problems or issues or concerns or whatever, we want to ask you to please not follow the money. Right? Don't follow the money. It's one of the worst things that you can do. You said, what am I going to do on this Grand Tuesday? Well, I'm starting off with where I am now, making sure that we inform people, which is a love and a passion of mine, right? And so we're going to make sure that we tell you today, don't follow the money. This has been one of the greatest things for me in my life. It has caused me to be able to do what is necessary and not do what somebody else deems necessary. It has caused me to relax a lot more. It has caused me to still be able to travel. It has caused me to recognize, you know, when people say money and stuff doesn't grow on trees, well, money might not grow on trees, right? But money does follow me. And when I learned that, how you doing, Sister Austria? How you doing, TikTok? Thanks for being part of the community. When I learned that I should not follow the money, I got to a better place in life. Right, I don't follow after money. Matter of fact, for those of you who believe in the Bible, right, not everybody does, but for those who do, there's a verse that you should make sure that you become very aware of. Psalm 23, right? Everybody knows it, but everybody says it, but they miss the part, right? Verse 1, it says, Adon, right, or Adon, right, really is my lamed, or Adon, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. I don't want for anything. But then if we skip down to verse 6, after all the other stuff that we love to talk about, verse 6, it ends by saying, surely, right, things constitutional, what we would use the term today, goodness, surely things that are constitutional, surely things that are good for me, surely things that are great for me, shall follow me all the days of my life. And I will what? I will dwell, I will live in the house or the family of Adon, of the Lord, forever. Surely it's promised to me that if I'm not wanting what everybody else is wanting, then the things that everybody else is chasing shall follow me. And once again, today we want to say, do not follow the money. Hello, King. Thanks for being part of the community. Thank you, Plenish, for being part of the community as well. How you been doing, Big Brother Thomas? All right. And so a lot of people are having issues because you've been taught from a young age to follow the money, right? You've been taught from a young age to do what? To follow the money. Even we have somebody on here now, right? Send me bread, please. Talking about, hey, can you send me money? I'm chasing after it. I'm chasing after it. I'm chasing after it. But you missed the point that you should not follow the money. Nothing wrong with even asking for money, but why? But don't chase it, right? Have something. How you doing, Brother Clem? Have something that's so much in place, that's so much on point. How you doing, Yvonne? Thanks for being part of the community. Have something in place that's so much on point that when you're going through your process of things, people begin to what? To give you things because they want to uplift what you're doing, or they would like a piece of what you have in your life. right? The people that you look up to, they do not follow money. You think that Bill Gates, because he uses money to control, he follows money. But Bill Gates has real things. He has stuff like land. He has people in the medical field in his pocket. He has your software. He has the government in his pocket because the government doesn't run things without Microsoft software, right? Apple, they have the government in their pocket because they use the cloud. The government has to use their cloud, right? So they're not worried about things like voting and money and things like that because the government's going to give them whatever they want because the government doesn't work unless Apple makes sure they have their cloud together. The government's not, or Bill Gates and those who are in Microsoft and the guy who owns the Los Angeles Clippers, people like that, they're not worried about what you're worried about. How you doing, big brother Kenyatta? Right? They're not worried about what you're worried about because they're not following after money. So you're going to wake up today and your goal is to, how can I make as much money as possible? Your goal might be, I need to go to work so I can make as much money as possible. Your goal is, hey, I'm glad that I know if I go to work this much, I can go in this cap that they have on my money, right? If I go to work this many hours, there's a cap. This is how much they won't allow you to do this. Matter of fact, your time won't allow because you're giving up your time. You're trading your time in for all these different things, right? Right? But don't chase after the money. I don't comprehend the question. What it has to do with today, I apologize, Ben. If you're saying what's a phone, I don't comprehend. Is it something to do with today? Besides a phone having to do with stones and different things that are used to be able to make sure that there's social media and things go around, but your phone. But once again, if you're saying I don't grasp exactly what it is, but welcome. How you doing, Jewel? Thanks for being part of the community today. Appreciate you. Hello, Michelle. Hello, Rodney. Hello, Yvonne. Hello, User760. Thanks for being part of the community. I'm all over the place trying to catch these comments, so y'all keep them coming. I'm going to do my best to get all this stuff together. Blessings, Radiant. How you doing? But once again, we've been taught from a young age. You went to school. How you doing, Keith? You went to school, and you learned that you're supposed to follow money. That's what your stuff is. But they tell you all the time, if you want to know how this system works, follow the money. If you want to know where decisions are made, follow the money. If you want to know why racism is there, follow the money. If you want to know why misogyny is there, follow the money. If you want to know why misandry is there, follow the money. If you want to know why capitalism is there, follow the money. And yet here we are saying we want to be separate from this system, be in the system and not of it. Well, how do you separate yourself from a system that is all about money if you follow the money? You got to get to a place where you recognize that it's not about following the money, right? I can sit up here with my wrinkled shirt and everything, and I can just go ahead and put it on, and I come out before you and be able to chill out and relax and do things that are righteous and do things that uplift my community and travel to different places and make sure that we're feeding people and try to sow seed and food in the ground and all types of things. I'm able to do those things because what? Because I'm able to follow the money. How you doing, Sister Shantae? I'm sorry, I don't have to follow the money, excuse me. Right? I'm able to not follow the money. I don't have to. And my not having to chase finances has put me in a place to where I can chase what I want, right? And the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. See, you're chasing money. We've said this plenty of times. You become somebody who's against it, right? You become somebody who's against natural law. You are the ATM machine, and ATM machines don't chase. You said, how do you do that not chasing money? Simply put, I chase the things that are relevant. Now, I'm telling you, as somebody, like people come up to it because we've been taught there's no way to survive without money, but money's not even real. When I came up with that realization and we started teaching on that and I started living by that, this is somewhat recently that we started just teaching straight up, especially for people who take cryptocurrency or people that are into investing or different things we do on the live. When we started telling people that we don't follow the money, right? When we started telling people we don't follow the money, we legit stopped following. We stopped chasing it. I stopped worrying about a 9 to 5. I stopped, I've done contracts to a couple of times here and there. We might do some and dabble in some stuff. But when I stopped worrying about, hey, I'm going to make my decisions based off of money. Exactly. We looked at the eternity, the eternal and not the temporal. Exactly. How you doing? Yeah, the love of money is the root of all evil, right? So I'm not saying money is disgusting. I'm not saying money shouldn't ever be in your position or in your presence, right? But to follow it means I love it. That means I'm acting. Love is action, right? I'm acting towards it. How you doing, Tierra? Thanks for being part of the community. How you doing, Sister Nakia? How you doing, Krypton? Right? You know, money is not real, exactly, and we got to learn that. Check, peep game. When I say money is not real, I'm actually being literal. Literally, money is not real. So money is a crop, okay. Money can also be a prop. Money is not real because it's not backed up by anything. Though. How you doing, Stormy Skies? Thanks for being part of the community. Hello, Rashawn. Thanks for being part of the community. Ryan, you said I've been trying to change my mindset and teach my children the concept. Trying to pick your brain. Amen. Pick away. Right. And I apologize. Yeah, I guess YouTube is down a little low. I apologize. I'm trying to, and I don't have you guys that close to me as well. Right. We're working on trying to get multiple devices and stuff like that taken care of without touching SOC stuff. So it's taking me a minute. We're all hands on deck trying to buy this land for us, but we're gonna get there. I'm right. But money is not real, and when I realized that money's not real, it was game on because we make considerably less amount of money. Matter of fact, we might make this is gonna sound crazy to some. We probably make as a family about 10%, 10 to 20% of what we made before, and we're traveling more and living about the same. Not exactly the same, but living about the same as what we lived before. Right, exactly. Money hasn't had anything to back it up since 1920s, exactly, right? And so money is not even real. When you realize that money's not real, what you realize is when you receive money for being who you are, you use it to get what you need. Thank you very much, Lux. Is it my Lux? I don't know if I'm saying that right, my Lord or my Lux, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Right, I'm not the Most High is a provider, and I'm telling you that like realizing you're that ATM, realizing you're that tree that gives fruit. Question for you: if you're a tree that gives fruit, right? If you're a tree that gives fruit, and I'm with you, Patty, right? If you're a tree that gives fruit, question for you: you ready? If you are a tree that gives fruit, do trees ever ask anybody to come and get their fruit? Amen, Sister Shantae. Money is a form of currency, exactly, and you got to agree on what currency is. How you doing, Joseph? How you doing? I still don't know if it's my law or my Lux. I'm not sure, but thank you for being on. Right? Yeah, exactly. If you have you ever seen a tree, right? Yeah, spicy. I've seen some of those things. If somebody's able to help me, because we've tried it. Now I'm having issues. I got to get my MacBook fixed and stuff. So it's not gonna be something I can do right away. But if somebody's willing to teach me how to use the stuff, I've tried to use it and I'm messing up on it. I'm not great with technology. So if somebody's willing to help me, I promise you, like we'll get that done because I really would like to, and that would probably help with Facebook, YouTube, and a couple things right off the bat, so we wouldn't have to worry about my setup as much. So yeah, you can if you're willing to be down for it and stuff like that and help me out, I promise you. Or if you know somebody that can, I promise you. Even I don't have much to give them, but you know I'll sow a seed or something if somebody's willing to help for real. But hey, Grand Rising TMG, thanks for being part of the community DJ workflow. And I don't know, Mia, is it Mia Dre 305? I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but no tree has ever knocked on somebody's door. None of these trees behind me has ever knocked on someone's door, and right, no, none of them have ever gone, "Hey, do you want some of my fruit?" Right? No tree has ever. Do you want some of my fruit? Would you like some? Would you like to buy some of my fruit today? I really would like it if you would buy my fruit today. You've never. There's never been a tree that's done it. Now somebody says, "Oh, well, that's ridiculous." That's that. Yeah, but it's ridiculous that you are a tree that's supposed to be planted by the rivers of water that in season would give much fruit, and you think that you're supposed to go and chase after somebody. You've been taught to go to school, and your entire school life, they taught you, "Hey, be ready to go out somewhere else and chase somewhere else. Put out your resume. Go to college. Go into debt going to college. Do all these different things and keep asking and begging everybody if they would just eat of your fruit." When you are a tree, trees don't ask people to get their fruit. Trees don't ask animals to get their fruit. Trees don't ask insects to be around them. Trees simply do what they're supposed to do and they grow how they're supposed to grow. And whether it's vines, whether it's insects, whether it's birds, whether it's mammals, animals, whatever the case might be. No matter what it is, whether it's the fowl of the air, whether it's things that creepeth upon the ground, whether it's a human being that says, I would like to take what you have and bring it to the store, whatever it is, trees simply grow and they produce fruit in their season, and people will start to plan their lives around the fruit of the season. Animals begin to plan their migration patterns around the fruit of the season, right? Right. Trees are okay being rooted and planted where they're supposed to be. Why is it that you've been taught to be part of a system that's not rooted and planted where it needs to be? This system says pick up your roots and move. Amen. Sister Shante, they do what they're supposed to do. You said, I know money's not real. The system's created roadblocks, but how do you sustain your life? So that's why we teach what we teach, sovereignty. That's what we teach as far as being part of a kingdom or establishment and growing a community and getting land and living with like-minded people that are willing to do that, or at least trading with like-minded people so we can get out of that trap for our soul. That's an exchange for your soul. And thanks for being part of the community, always swirling. Hello, Henry, if I didn't say so already. Hello, thanks for being part of the community, Vegan, and YVS Linnell, Barbara, Be the King, Tony, everybody coming on. Thank you. We appreciate you on all platforms. TikTok, Kofi_42, Kofi_43 on YouTube. We appreciate you guys' presence with us, right? And the goal is what? The goal has to be out of this system. The problem is that you think that being in this system is what makes you who you are. Right? The problem is that being in the system is what makes us think that we are who we are. You think that what's on your birth certificate is who you are. You're not going to get far if you chase money. So today I come before you to affirm you, right? Romans 8:1, Romans 8:11, Romans 8:18, Romans 8:19, Romans 8:28, and all those affirmations we've been doing this month, not one of them says that you have to chase money. Now, equity is important, but question, is equity something that you're supposed to chase, or does equity start with you? If that's being part of the community, growing women, a rose in bloom. Hello, how you doing? Crypto Gummy said governments are the exception to this rule. They want you dependent. Exactly. And I'm not even telling you to be independent. I'm telling you to be interdependent, but be interdependent with a government that wants you to be interdependent. These governments that you are worldwide, by the way, because all of them are following the same model, thinking that the same model gets you to where you're supposed to be. And they're telling you that equity starts when you think of them as equity rather than think of yourself as equity. But they realize who you are. They've studied you. That's why they know that you're not going to really, most people are not really going to be able to do any more than about 40 hours a week. They know that some of you guys that are really into slavery and have been really taught and really believe in the system, you might do 80 hours a week. You might get up close to 100 hours a week. But they know that your body will break down. So they realize that you are the equity. It's your time that has to be traded. And you've been taught to toil for somebody else and build somebody else up is what actually makes you well off. That's what we've been taught. We've been taught that to go to somebody else's town, we're always happy with going to Chinatown. That's a great thing. Let's go here. Let's go to Chinatown. Nothing wrong against the Chinese. They're doing what they're supposed to do. But when somebody says, hey, let's have an Kemetic town, let's have an Israel town, let's have a Shui town, let's have an Ashanti town, let's have an African town, let's have a black town, whatever you want to call it, let's have a Moorish town, there's people who we know, let's have an indigenous town, whatever your argument is to that, we're not building that. Because as much as we say we would like to have it, we don't do what's necessary for that, but we do what's necessary for others to reach their goals. You said that's exactly why you're trying to work towards getting the homestead and community living. Yeah. That's the goal. Well, there's Gullah Geechee people over there, right? Some of my people. I mix with a lot of things, though. But, some of my people over there, right? So you've been connected to something else for so long trying to build for others. And even though you say it's entered into your mind, right? But it hasn't entered into your mind to do well. That's why the Bible says it not entered into your mind nor even entered into your hearts. Right? Now have you seen or have you heard what it is that Yahweh has planned for you? He has something planned greater for you. Revelation chapter 2, verse 9. I know you think you're going through tribulation and all this, and you think you're poor. Really, you are rich. Why are you rich? Because they can't move without you. You are the ATM. You are the tree that has the fruit. They eat of your fruit. Their countries are built off of you. I'm not even talking about just black folk right now. All right, if we can get outside of that before somebody gets into that, right? Like there's something bigger than what it is that you think it is. There's something bigger in society than what you think it is. And you know what's bigger in society than what you think it is? You ready for this? What's bigger in society than what you and I think it is you. You are bigger. Right. If we need to talk about being rich in the kingdom of heaven, thank you, Daniel, for being part of the community, and Robbie and OHM today, right? Om today, rather. If you are not, you said, how do you find like-minded people? Well, once again, we have like-minded people that come here, but also look up different things and put things out and study different people and see what their mindset is. But one of the things that's happened is we aren't like-minded because we don't believe that our mindset is necessary and is relevant. That's one of the things that's there. We don't look for like-minded people because we don't see the relevancy in it. We look for people that are like-minded as far as supporting this wicked system. So people are on here supporting the wicked system every day. Thanks for being part of the community, Michelle. People are on here every day. Let me support this system. Let me find a way to do this. Let's find a way to work, to toil. Let's find a way to do stuff for other people. Let's find a way to make sure that we're doing big business for others and this and that or whatever. But we don't have anything for ourselves right on our website. Right? If you're on TikTok, either Kofi underscore 42 or Kofi underscore 43, you can go right to our website, right, or where you can click, on our page. It says Linktree, right? Link. What is it? Link. It's https colon slash slash. Um, oh, I might have to go back and change it. I think I messed it up, but whatever. The link tree on there. I think Kofi underscore 42. Now I'm thinking about it. I might have to redo it. But either way, you can go to Kofi underscore 42 or 43 and find our website. Or you can just go to, if you want to skip all that, go to kofi-40.com, Kofi hyphen OFORI.com. My name minus the numbers, KOFI, not underscore. That's up there or up there, depending on which device you look. But KOFI underscore, not underscore, but put a dash or a hyphen there. KOFI hyphen OFORI.com. Go look there. In our community, we have a whole thing called our Black Book. Look at the Black Book, and you can find businesses you can support. And those business, you can look at something on there called YLP 83, Yah's Land Project 83. You can find out how we're trying to make sure that we develop land and get land for each other. And we're not asking you guys to have to live there 24/7 or anything like that. We're asking for you guys to help us to get land so we can start flipping it like other communities do to take care of each other. You said go to a Coptic Orthodox church. I mean, if that's what you decide to go, I don't go to churches. Churches is okay, and just because people say certain things or whatever, you're dealing more with Eastern Rome. I don't really do romantic stuff, but to Eastern Rome, if you feel like that's where you need to go, then that's where you need to go. But at the end of the day, we have people that are like-minded. We have Changing Lives Initiative. Thank you, Minister Tamer. ChangingLivesInitiative.org, to where we make sure people get clothes and they get fed. We have there's tons of stuff. And even if you don't like us, if you're saying, I don't want to go with y'all, okay, go with somebody else who's doing the same things, right? Even if you don't want to listen to what we're talking about, find somebody who's similar minded, right? But find somebody who's about doing these things as far as starting with you, right? By the way, even leadership, people that are in a leadership position, how do you know somebody's in a better leadership position or in a great leadership position, whatever? Well, true leadership is not leadership over people, but it's over an environment. Find somebody who's creating an environment. Yeah, Trishuba, is it? Yeah, I don't do that, right? We don't do that here. So me personally, I'm a person who's giving, and I would love to help others build their homestead. Yeah, and we should. And by the way, our goal is when we build what some people will call a homestead, when we build that, we're also trying to make sure that it's built to be protected legally, all that stuff. So that's important. And then to make sure that we can also use that to help others who are in that community to eventually get their own as well, right? That's how you cause wealth. That's how you have these things called keys, or the different things that we want to call them now, where people come together, they live together. One person gets it going, they are able to change it, they're able to go and do one thing, and somebody else can follow, and somebody else can follow. And as we were talking about yesterday, it's about nation building. Yep, shared minds. Mindsets create nations. A nation, a holy nation. Oh, that means a whole nation. It means one nation. And we're so enamored with other nations that we're not making what? A whole nation, one nation. We're so enamored with other people that we're not making what's called a whole nation. Hello, Grand Rising to you. That's just great. Um, We're not making a whole nation. We're not interested in nation building, right? We're not really interested in nation building. How you doing, Jacob? Thanks for being part of the community. We're not really interested in nation building. So we're interested in talking about nation building. We're interested in arguing with people on different social media about nation building, right? But we're not interested in nation building. See, nation building starts here. It starts with conversation, right? Nation building starts here. It starts with conversation. You know why? Because here's one of the things that have to happen before your nation will ever become strong. You ready for this? You have to heal from PTSS, post-traumatic slave syndrome. You got to heal from PTSD, post-traumatic slave disorder, or post-traumatic stress disorder. You got to heal from trauma, and you've never talked about your trauma, and you've never talked about how trauma was always hitting you. When you were going to school, thank you, Flawless. When you were going to school, you were not, you were being taught about Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and never taught about the trauma that actually created the need for Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., nor the trauma that came when they destroyed him, nor the trauma that happened when they made sure they put a system in place so that there would never be another one of him. Right? You've never gone down that route of discussing that you are dealing with a people that are not united because they were taught to not be united. I posted something. Uh, I don't remember if it's on both Kofi underscore 43 or Kofi underscore 42, but I posted something the other day. I think it's on both on TikTok, where there's a guy discussing how how there's a fight between old black men and young black men, which is Deuteronomy 28 all day, every day. Thank you, Sister Cynthia. Appreciate it. How you doing, Mandy? Thanks for being part of the community. You said Martin Luther King Jr. was fake used by the government. Malcolm X was official, truly for the people. Um, sure, if that's the route you want to go. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Was ignorant of some things at certain times, which is the same thing that Minister Malcolm Shabazz or Malcolm X would tell us the same thing, right? And they were going to try to work together the week before he was shot and killed. The same week, the same day he was killed was the same day that the person in Africa was killed. Both of them were going to go ahead and go to support us in the United Nations. So yeah, but if you're going through a thing of like one has to be better than the other, that's part of the fight that the CIA and the FBI and the United States government wants you to be on to this day. How you doing, Sister Benita? Right? But we're trying to go past that, right? But there's a fight between the younger generation and the older generation, the young black man and the older black man. And he was talking about how he comes in like on Thanksgiving or whatever, he was wearing pink socks. And he said his uncle saw the pink socks, or somebody in his family saw the pink socks, and he's like, man, I hate y'all. Why y'all N-words always, why y'all gay? That's what his uncle said. You know, why y'all gay? Why y'all always act? And he was like, I don't know how to answer that. Like, you just met my girlfriend. I don't get it. And he said, why y'all always acting crazy? Why y'all always acting different? And he said, well, it's the government. And people who were there probably weren't ready for him to take this real turn, but he was like, well, the government. He was like, and people were probably like, the government? He said, yeah, the government. They did everything they could to make sure that they got us away from ourselves. They made sure that men were taken out of the home. He said they made sure that we were raised, therefore we had to be forced to be raised by women, and therefore we act like how we act, like sassy N-words. Right? That's what he said. And it's funny until you realize that there's truth behind humor. And he's telling you exactly what's going on. That we're in a system to where our fathers are not even what we depend on. Our fathers are not even, we don't even think about our fathers. We've talked about this before. If you look at the top holidays in the world, Father's Day is number 20, right? Number 1 is Christmas. Number 2 is Mother's Day. Number 6 is Halloween. Arbor Day, number 13, something like that, right? Easter, probably somewhere in the top 10, which is not even the same as Passover, right? It's Ishtar, it's a whole other thing, right? So, and all that stuff that's going on, we don't even depend on our own people. And we don't even think our own fathers are worthy, right? And I like the way a comedian said it, Al Sadiq. He said it. He said, you know, basically, if you look at it, number 1 is Christmas, number 2 is Mother's Day, number 20 is Father's Day, he's like, that means it's Jesus and then your mama, right? That's what he said. He said it means it's Jesus and your mama. And that's not me coming from a Christian standpoint. He's not even a Christian, the person that's mentioning it. But he's basically saying, like, the way we look at it is Jesus and your mama and everything else fall into place. Fathers are number 20 on the list. Can you see a problem? Because even in the Ankh principle, right, where men and women are supposed to be united together, where masculine and feminine energy is supposed to be united together. Even in our culture, there's neither male nor female in heaven, nor they're being given away in marriage in heaven. Marriage is something to be able to get you to realize the context of how you're supposed to be married to the Most High, and it physically manifests itself into us being married one to another in this physical life. Okay, well, in all these things, we're not even coming together because we've been taught to go away from ourselves. We think that money is worth chasing after, but fatherhood is not worth chasing after. That's why it's easy. I'm not saying all women. I'm not doing the misandry thing, but hear what I'm saying. That's why it's easy for a lot of women to be like, hey, if you don't do everything the way that I want it, and if we don't agree on everything that I say, then you shall not see your children. Not all women, but let's not act like it's no women. Hey, how you doing, Shima? Right? I'm not saying all women, but let's not act like it's no woman, right? Okay. And same thing with fathers. We're taught, go ahead and go away. You can do this or whatever. Maya Angelou was dropped off. As a matter of fact, Maya Angelou's father didn't even drop her off. Maya Angelou's father legit put her on a train, basically like stuck a stuck a ticket to her and her older sibling, sent them on a train to his mother's house because him and his wife couldn't make it work. The wife didn't take care of the children. He didn't take care of the children, and they had to be looked over once they got over up past the mixed train carts, and they got to a place where they could be on only colored only train carts. It was black people that had to start looking over them, and hopefully somebody was going to find, which they did find, their grandmother who lived in the town that they were put in. Right? Like we have been taught, we don't recognize how wild and perverted and how long this has been going on to where we're chasing money, but we don't chase after things that are valuable. Money comes to those who have things that are valuable. You said the devil always makes a substitute for Elohim's system, and it always divides us most deaf. How you doing, King Tut? Thanks for being part of the community. Thank you, Jasmine. Appreciate it. We're gonna speak that truth, right? So we become a society that chases after money, and money has no value. Money shows up to things that have value because money always has to be backed up. But that's why money has no value because there's nothing to back up money. There's no gold. There's no silver. Maybe you can talk about bonds and stuff like that, possibly. But you know, the only thing that can back up anything, right, is you. It's your work. Your birth certificate is worth millions of dollars. Your birth certificate. When you go to prison, right, they're making tens of millions of dollars off of you, right? You are what makes anything equitable, able to have equity, equitable. You are that person. That's it. You're the only thing that is substantive in this whole thing. Now the question is, are you a public citizen? You belong to the government as a slave? Or are you a private citizen? You're somebody the government has to protect. Either way, you are the equity. Right? Exactly. Family is true value. But we think that money makes families. That's why the number one reason for divorce, and people who say God bless America and all this stuff for those that worship God and not Elohim, the reason why the reason why you have problems in your marriage is because you chase after money. If you don't believe so, the number one reason for divorce is what? Is lack of money. That means that if you don't have something that's not real, you will get rid of what is real because you think that you must chase after something that has zero value behind it. Your marriage is what backs up money. And if you have no money coming in, your marriage is something that you need to look at and making it stronger when you make it stronger. And now here comes money. See, this is the problem. Question for you. How much are you worth? This is why people have marriage problems in the first place because you don't even know before you get into marriage how much value you have. But question for you. When it comes, and grand rising to you, stress-free, question for you. How much are you worth? How much value do you have? How much money are you worth? Somebody got it already. How much money are you worth? Exactly. Right? I see you, Sister Cynthia. You got it already, right? Marriage is a business. Yeah. But even in the business, by the way, you know you can create your own marriage certificates. You don't have to go and have the government. We even do that. We say, okay, we're going to get married. Now let's go ahead and have the government make business out of it rather than you can actually just create your own business and your own contract. But you are what? You are priceless. A couple of people saying that you are priceless. There is no amount of money that you're worth. You are you make money. Like so your birth certificate is worth more than money. That's why, see, watch this. I've said this before, I'll say it again, right? I've said it in class, I've said it outside of class. I don't mind saying it again, right? Peep game. Is the United States of America truly in debt? They keep telling you you are. They keep telling you now that you are supposed to be part of this debt and that your debt that you have as a public citizen is $30 trillion. That's what they tell you. They say you are $30 trillion in debt. Are you really in debt? Is the United States corporation, is it really in debt? People are saying no. All right, question. Why is it not really in debt? I want to show you the value that you have. Stop chasing money, right? I want you to see, why is the United States corporation not in debt? Can anybody give me an answer? They're trading our ownership. Yeah, well, we might be saying the same word, but I'm looking for or the same thing, but I'm looking for a specific wording. People are born every day. The U.S. in debt. I'm not in debt. Okay, well, you're not in debt. Cool. So if you're a private citizen, if you stop dealing with benefits and privileges, you're not in debt anyways. But why the United States corporation? Why is it not really in debt? Labor. Okay, the day that you were and the day that your parents signed off on your birth certificate is the day that you averaged millions of dollars that they could sell you to the highest bidder. So, and even though some people will argue it's not all to the Federal Reserve, it's not all to China, this and that, whoever you're looking at as far as who the debt is towards, do you think, I want you to hear this, right? Do you think that the United States corporation could be $30 trillion in debt and could still keep asking for more money? I want you to hear that. Do you think, like, watch this. If you were to go to whatever loan shark place that they have, and thanks for being part of the community, Jimmy. If you were to go to whatever loan shark place that they have, and you went in and you said, let me borrow $2,000, and then you didn't even pay, you paid off maybe 100 of the dollars and said, hey, you know what, I can't pay it off, let me get 2,000 more, and then let me go after that. Now I'm 4,000 in debt plus interest, so now maybe like 6, 7, 8,000, depending on what the interest rate is in debt. You know what? Let me come back. Hey, let me get 2,000 more. How many times do you think they're going to let you? You think they're going to let you keep borrowing up to 30 trillion? See, they're putting out numbers, but you and I don't know that none of it's real. You said no, they would be denied unless they had more capital to put up. Exactly. So now money's not the capital. So you think that capitalism is off of money. Money's not the capital. Money is not backed up by gold or silver, which means it is illegal to use money. Technically, right? Technically, it's actually illegal. Matter of fact, who cares about money? Because when you have bigger purchases, if you need to go to whatever, I don't know, Costco, Walmart, Best Buy, and something today, and you wanted to buy a television. Television costs $1,000. You gonna show up with 1,000 cash, or you just gonna use your card? Matter of fact, aren't there a lot of places where they say they don't even want your cash unless it's exact change because they're trying to get rid of the fiat cash, at least the way that you use it, right? They're trying to get rid of that thing because it's not valuable, right? It's not valuable anymore because there's nothing that backs it up. So you're going to swipe that card. And as much as they're telling you to be against cryptocurrency, you were using e-commerce and stuff like that. Some of y'all not even knowing it, but you know now they say cryptocurrency is bad. But guess what you're doing when you go and you use that card? That card is nothing but numbers. Those numbers. That's all you're trading is numbers. But currency, as was we were given a reminder by Sister Shantae, I believe it was earlier. Currency is if you look up the definition, we have to agree on what it is. So if you agree that the numbers on that card is something that's valuable, and they agree that the numbers on that card is valuable, you use it as a medium. A media, just like we're using media today to exchange ideas, you use that card as a media to exchange what you've gotten in service and give your service to them. So now twice over, you're giving your service to the job, and now you're giving what you earn from your service to whoever you buying the television from, and they give you a television. And that's why you get upset when they don't serve you well, right? And that's why they get upset when they don't serve you well, because you're like, I got this because I served everybody so well. Give me something back for my service, right? You are the capital. You are the equity, sweat equity, by the sweat of your brow. That's how this stuff goes on, right? Oh yeah, they purchased the gold and silver back long, long time ago, right? Early in the 20s, 30s. I forget the exact year, but they had a date where they said, hey, everybody, if you're basically they tricked everybody. They said if you're a U.S. citizen, you need to go ahead and give us your gold, and we'll buy it from you. And a lot of people didn't realize that they weren't even, so they didn't even have to give it back. But everybody gave back their gold to the government. Not everybody, but a lot of people, majority of people sold their gold to the United States government. Then the United States government, after the date happened, about 3 weeks after the deadline was, they then sold all the gold and silver to other people. All the gold, excuse me, not the silver, but all the gold to somebody else, and they sold it to other people, and they sold it for 2 times. No, I think it was 3 times actually. What it was that they bought it for. It was 1933. Thank you. Right. So, but even in that being said, it's because gold is real. It's like land. Land is something, and all this stuff. And by the way, how much of this was taught to us in school? How much of this was preached from pulpits? How much of this was told to you by mothers and fathers? Some of us had mothers and fathers that invested that didn't tell us any of this stuff. They never tell you this stuff because in school, their whole goal is to get you to do what? To chase after money. But money's not real. They say tithe, which there's nothing wrong with tithing. But they say tithe, tithe, tithe. And then you never see any land, any food, any apartment complexes. Sometimes maybe a school, but the school is only created for them to make more money. Well, not just since Nixon. Well, Nixon put the end of it. Yeah, Nixon definitely put the nail in the coffin as far as the gold standard. That's why they killed. That's the reason why Kennedy actually got killed. Right. It's because he didn't put the stuff together as far as the gold standard. He didn't want to. Matter of fact, he was going to go back to the idea of greenbacks. He was going to use greenbacks, but that's why Lincoln got killed too. Like if you look at these presidents that got shot up and stuff or got shot at, you'll discover that all of them were having beef with either the Federal Reserve or somebody representing the Federal Reserve. Because the Federal Reserve uses money to control you because they need you to chase it. But the reality is that people who own stuff, they don't worry about money because money follows you. I'm talking about spiritually, physically, emotionally, psychologically, whatever the case might be. Right? Like we never thought about that. But that's real. We said if you sold goods and tithes and gold and silver, it costs a fifth, 20% instead of. I'm sorry, Jacob, I'm not following you. If you sold goods and tithes with gold or silver, it costs a fifth, 20% instead of 10. I'm not exactly sure what you're saying. If you can make it more plain for me. I'm not saying you're wrong about anything. I just legit not getting what you're saying. Thank you for the love, Sister Deborah. Where do I reside? I reside in a few different places, in all honesty. Right? I don't really like saying all that business out loud, but we have a few different places that we frequent and a few different places that we have, ownership of. Uh, what's the first? Okay, the first album. I don't know. I'm not really talking about that if you don't mind. I'm trying to focus on the stuff today. I'm not trying to be rude, but listen, I'm 56, looking at my second retirement, and it feels empty being truthful. Yeah, you know, it's real. It's a lot of us don't recognize. Once again, we've been taught something that's not true. We've been taught something that's not correct, that's not true at all. And you were taught that money was real, right? Oh, VZ, that's not something that makes me frustrated or upset. If you're going to do something like that, say something that would upset me. I don't mind being compared to Bob Marley. That's a king, right? But don't chase after money. Yeah, they blast us with social media or with ads, fill social media with material well in TV, and that has our children chasing that idea, right? You said you think Elohim showed money was worthless, okay, and accepted, but it was devalued. I get the concept now, the context now. All right, I wasn't following that part, but yeah, I agree with you. You know, so, but once again, stop chasing the money. The ATM machines don't chase money; they stay in position. Trees don't chase people getting their fruit; they just stay in position and they grow fruit. The tree that was cursed, the fig tree that was cursed, it was cursed because it didn't produce fruit. It wasn't cursed because it was in position. So your problem is, first of all, can we get you in position? Can we get your business in position? Can we get our people in position? Thank you, Sister Round. I'm sorry, I just saw you. Can we get our mindset in position? Can we get rid of years of trauma and stop living by the trauma and acting like we can't get past trauma? Can we get in position? And once we get in position, now next question is, what is the fruit? Can we bear fruit? That's their two main issues. We're so busy chasing money that you haven't considered getting in position, and you haven't considered bearing fruit. Whether you like it or not, Bill Gates got in position, right? He rooted in the right place, and then he what? He bore fruit. Whether you like it or not, Steve Jobs, he got in position. I'm not saying he didn't have less obstacles or whatever we want to talk about. Nevertheless, Steve Jobs, he got in position, he got rooted, he bore fruit. Whether you like it or not, Oprah Winfrey. A lot of us don't like Oprah Winfrey, things that she does, whatever. Hey, Oprah Winfrey, like she got in position. Whether you like how she did it, she put them roots in the ground, and then she bore fruit. Now you can say you don't like the fruit, it's rotten fruit, it's the fruit causing us, it's this, that, whatever. Cool. She got in position, she bore fruit. Question is, what is your position? I'm sorry, you said did I know there has to be a male tree and a female tree next to each other produce fruit? Well, yeah, or they have to be able to. That's why some seeds travel, right? They either have to be able to travel, or you have, bees and different things, bees, butterflies, hummingbirds, etc., that pollinate. Sometimes you even have mammals that pollinate, believe it or not. Sometimes even the snakes that that can hover and stuff like that, they'll have pollen on them. They go from tree to tree or whatever, right? So yeah, you have to have male and female. That's a great point. We have to come together. What is our position as a community when it comes to fathers and mothers, husbands and wives? Why is it more in style to make sure that you say, go ahead, girl, you raising them babies all by yourself, than it is to say, you know what, go ahead, family, y'all doing that thing together. Right? Producing fruit is proof of growth. I'm not, right? Thanks for being part of Community Nova. Appreciate it. Is it Bajas? I'm not saying that correctly probably, but thanks for being on Phoenix as well. Thanks for being part of the community. Okay, cool. Thank you, user 770. Appreciate it. Right? Where is our fruit? Right? Where is our where is our fruit? What is our position? What is your position? Right? Before worrying about my hair, what is your position? You see that? Right? What is your position? Make your position known. And then once you make your position known, be rooted in it. Because like what's Matthew chapter 13? Matthew chapter 13. Yeah, those are great questions, right, April? Yeah, like, because it's got to start there. Matthew chapter 13, people love to talk about it, whatever. Read it. What does it say? Read your Bible, it'll bless you. It says that there was somebody who sowed seed. First and foremost, who's sowing the seed? Thank you, Trishuba, right? The power stronger number. Number one, there has to be somebody sowing seed. This is why it's important. We get up, we do this every day, right? Except for Wednesdays, which is tomorrow for me, where I take a day off, right? But even in that, we have somebody who still will come on our free conference call line and we're trying to build up people so that hopefully soon they can start doing stuff on TikTok, or maybe we will start trying to say, hey, y'all come on Facebook and follow this person, or y'all come on this or that or whatever, YouTube maybe, whatever the case might be, right? But you gotta, I need you to comprehend this, right? Thank you, appreciate that, Anubis, and thanks for being part of community, Roses. Like when you talk about this, Matthew chapter 5. I'm sorry, I said Matthew chapter 5. I'm going to our sweet spot. Matthew chapter 13, right? And there's a sower of the seed. First and foremost, who's sowing seed? Who's out here making sure that they give out this message, this word, this thing saying you're equitable, saying, hey, you have been told that you're poor, but really you are rich. Hey, it's okay for you to be Israel. It's okay for them to down you. It's okay for them to clown you. It has nothing to do with where you're headed. The suffering of this present time not worthy to be compared to where the glory shall be revealed. Stop condemning yourself because you're greater than this condemnation. If the Most High won't condemn you, why do you allow others to condemn you? Matthew 13, once again, who's going to sow the seed? Who's going to sow the seed? Where are the people that are giving out this word and this message, bare minimum? Why are our children not getting this message? Our children aren't even, a lot of our children, depending, because I don't do school, so I don't know what the schedules are for people in different parts of the world, right? But we do homeschool, right? But a lot of your children been out of school. Question, how many of them have been up listening to these lives? I'm not saying that you bring them on just because I'm talking. I'm talking about if it's something that's great for you, then are you, if they ain't listening, are you giving them the seed? Are you breaking this down with them? Or are you just saying, hey, you know what, I still got to go to the job. I still got to do this. Go ahead and go somewhere else. I'll spend extra money so I can build somebody else up so that I can send you to their summer camp and all these things. Who's sowing the seed, first and foremost? Where is the seed coming? Or is there anybody on your Sundays that you go into your churches, or your Saturdays, or your Wednesday nights, or your Thursday nights, or your Fridays, your Mondays, your Tuesdays, whatever your day of choice is or your days of choices are, who's sowing this seed saying we got to separate and we got to come out and not just say separate, but then never give any actual mindset or any type of vision plan or anything that says, hey, we can come together and do this? Who's sowing seed? First and foremost, sow the seed. And here's the deal. When you watch the seed sower, right, it doesn't say that the seed sower only sowed seed in one place, right? It says the person who sowed seed was throwing it everywhere. People say, why you, people used to ask me, when we used to be a lot more active, like we used to be so active on TikTok, I promise you, it wasn't off to say I might put up 20 to 30 videos in a day at one point minimum every day, right? Especially at Kofi underscore 40, the original one, and the Kofi underscore 42, right? Like, but I promise you, there was a time where every day you was gonna get nothing but me all day, every day if you was somebody who was part of the community, right? But then we started doing the lives, and so we were able to even, and we started growing even faster, believe it or not, once we started doing the live sessions longer. I'm saying all that to say though, I recognize that that we needed to sow seed. It was the sowing of seed. Amen. We're sowing seed right now. Exactly. It was the sowing of seed. You said you share everything with everyone. Amen. Yeah, I know, Sister Cynthia. Right. I'm just saying in general. Right. I'm not trying to attack anybody. I'm saying it was the sowing of seed. And when you saw the person who's sowing the seed, it says that when he sowed the seed, he sowed it everywhere. He didn't say, I'm just going to sow it sometimes. And I used to get questions all the time. Why are you doing this? Why are you casting pearls before swine? Why are you talking to this person? Why are you talking? Look, I might talk back and forth and answer some people, but there's limits to it. Right, but I do make sure that it gets out to as many people as possible. If I have to do it in person, if I have to do it online, if I have to do it on TikTok, if I got to do it on YouTube, if I have to do it on the podcast, if I do it on Facebook, if I got to do it on Twitter, if there's one person that listens, if there's 0 people that listen, if it's a million people that find the information we're talking about, whatever the case might be, I'm sowing seed. Why? Because I'm a tree. Amen, Sister Benita. How you doing, Adrian? Thanks for being part of the community. I'm sowing seed. It don't matter. It don't matter where. Now, when they say casting pearls before swine, if somebody wants to go in depth with something, but they just arguing, I won't cast. I won't waste time with that. If you just arguing for argument's sake. But as far as sowing seed, making sure that there's, see, watch this. The seed. I need you to recognize this. The seed represents what you would call either one of two things: colonization or gentrification. Same thing to you, Shirus. Thanks for being on. Oh, hey, I see you, Sia. Or is it Sia? Saya? I'm not sure how to pronounce it. SIAH The King TV. And thanks for being part of the community, Mustafa Stevens. Right? I sow seed every day, all day if I could. I sow seed in my family. I sow seed whatever. I throw the seed up, and the seed is two things. It's either what you would call colonization or gentrification. Trees are not out here trying to make sure that they sow seed only because it will benefit somebody else. Trees are out here sowing seed, knowing that if they can have another tree right next to them, it means that they'll be stronger and they'll have more for themselves. Now, they realize that in order to keep growing to a place they can have seed, they have to make sure that they benefit the soil, they have to benefit the atmosphere, they have to benefit the birds, they have to benefit the bees, they have to benefit the insects, whatever kind, wasps, whatever. They have to benefit all those, right? But the tree is not concerned about growing outside of making sure that it continues its own kingdom. Its own kingdom is designed to serve. So the greater the greater the kingdom of the forest is, if you will, then that's the greater service it will be. Somebody missed that. That's the great. See, the greater the kingdom of the forest is, the more trees that there are, right? Then the more things feed off of it, the more people that want to come and get its fruit, then the more it has a chance to be able to grow. Why? If a squirrel, right? I'm sorry. How a squirrel might be a bad example. Let's say, well, squirrels can be a great example too, right? But some of these animals, whatever the animal is, right? If these animals come and let's say a bird eats a seed, right? The bird swallows the seed. The bird takes all the stuff off of the seed in its digestive system, and then the seed comes out. It comes out either the seed that can be planted, flown somewhere else, right? Or it comes out as dung that can be used to be able to make sure that it's something that the tree can use to be able to eat from and grow to be bigger. Even the things that people think that are crappy, so to speak, are the things that actually benefit the trees that it might grow. It uses everything, but the tree is not concerned. The tree is serving because in its service it grows. I don't know I hope somebody's catching this, right? The tree in its service, it grows. The tree is serving because by serving, it's better to give, it's better to serve than it is to receive, because if it serves, it shall receive. It's better to start the process for itself, right, than it is to worry about what everybody else has to say. Because even those that are going to eat off of what I'm doing, I have to first give. They can't eat off if I don't give. Salah. I'm on masterpiece, right? It's if I don't give you nothing, then I can't receive. The problem is once again you're chasing after money. So you get money and you're like, I got $100. Somebody's like, hey, give 10%. I got $100. Somebody's like, hey, invest 10%. I got $100. You're telling me to give. I'd only have $80 left. But if you would invest, not just in the kingdom, but even in yourself. I remember, I didn't just say 10% in the kingdom. What about 10% for yourself? If you can give 10% to an organization, you can give 10% to yourself. But I don't want to give. I don't want to deal with that. If I were to give, if I were to do this, my family's struggling. I can't afford my bills already. My phone bill's 150. Well, if your phone bill's 150 and you only got 100, you still can't pay the phone bill. How about you invest 10% and invest 10%? How about you learn how to live off of 10%? I can't live off of $10. That don't make no sense. This and that or whatever. Well, time out. Some of you might be on food stamps right now. So is the food stamps taking care of this? If you on food stamps, some of you might be on food stamps and might not have a vehicle. Is $10 for gas? No. Find a way. Like, you've been taught that you have to chase after money, but if you start looking at this stuff for real, like a lot of stuff is covered for a lot of people in different ways. I'm not saying all of us are in that position, but I'm telling you, you'd be surprised. I learned how to be homeless and still be giving. He said the tree needs not to be explained. The truth of Elohim needs to be told. Christ walks the earth. Okay, I don't understand fully what you were. I'm not trying to come against you. I didn't fully comprehend what you were saying. To give room for the beneficial seeds to thrive. Yeah, even the beast system knows the value of sowing seeds. Exactly. See, even if it's seeds of discord, it's still there. Thank you, Sina. I appreciate that. Canada in the house. Okay, how you doing, Tamara? Excuse me. Never seen the righteous forsaken nor their seed begging bread. And once again, that's a key, and they're the righteous, those in right legal standing. Never seen those in right legal standing, right? Which means that we have to have a mindset of stop begging. Love it. Stop begging. But in the sower of the seed, Matthew 13, he's sowing the seed everywhere. And then it says what? It says that the seed basically is based upon the ground. What is the ground? The ground is the heart. The heart. You said, how do you dig out a seed of discord that you have sown? You don't have to dig it out at all, because you keep on going to Matthew chapter 13, and you discover there's a sower of the seed when it comes to the wheat and the tare. I don't have to sow out the tares. And if you know about it, wheat and tare look the same until they get to a certain place of maturity in their life. Tare, they stay upright. Wheat, they start to... So it says that the angels shall be sent. The messengers, that's what angel really means. The messengers shall be sent out there. But the angels shall be sent out there and on behalf of the Most High, and they will separate the wheat from the tare. So if you sow discord, you need to pray about it, ask for forgiveness, and allow the angels to take care of it from that point to where they can get rid of it. It's not on you. It's not on me. There's a lot of people that sow discord in my life. There's a lot of people who try to sow discord in my family's life. There's a lot of people that try to sow discord in our community. There's a lot of people that try to sow discord as boule. There's a lot of people that try to sow discord and say you don't know what you're talking about. There's a lot of people that try to sow discord. If I make sure that I put out nothing but wheat and truth, and they putting out tares, it'll fall where it is. I don't chase after that. I used to. Now, if somebody says something that's detrimental to my family or something, then yeah, I would have to try and talk about it. Something that makes SOC bad, sure, I gotta, or our community look bad, sure, I gotta do something about that. But it's not up to me, right? But Matthew chapter 13, the first part of it, it says that it was thrown out, and it depends on the person's heart. I'm not. And how you doing, Brother Vincent? It depends on a person's heart, their passion. The ground that is talking about, the soil that the seed is going into, is the heart, the passion. And we don't recognize that it's the passion. So there's a group that the seed is thrown out to, and it says that the sun scorches its seed and that the birds come and pick it up, which means that the seed that we're throwing out, we're not even digging and putting the seed in the ground. The ground has to be able to accept what we're putting out. You got to recognize the culture. We're talking about the people who were nomadic people, people that were farmers, people that were fishermen as well, but these are people that are very much so into nature, natural law. And so there's a certain type of ground that will receive seed at the top and still be able to pull it in, or allow the seed to be able to root within itself to grow. We're throwing out a specific seed. This is not a seed for everybody. See, so there's a seed that you're going to have to plant. That's not for everybody. Somebody missed that. There's a seed that you're going to have to plant that you got to recognize not everybody's ground is ready for this. Not everybody's passion is ready for this. Not everybody's down for this. Not everybody's ready to go all in. Not everybody's saying, hey, we walk by faith and not by sight. Not everybody's ready to say, yo, like I can be private and not public. Not everybody's ready to say, hey, I need this. I need this. Not I want this. Not this sounds good. I need this. By my actions, I will show that I need this. Love is action. My love that I have for our people is a need. Not everybody's going to do that, right? Because as we're planting a seed. And this seed ain't for everybody. Not all seeds can grow in everything. We got different plants and stuff around me right now. We got different plants up in the front of where I am right now. We got different plants in different places that we have. We trying to, even if we don't get all the planting done, at least we're going to make sure this traveling that we're going to be doing, we're going to be looking at different places and different things and different ways we can get things together to plant some things. And guess what? Everywhere we go, we got to first look at the terrain and say, ooh, you know what? We can't plant this type of seed here, or maybe it's too late in this season, or maybe it's this, maybe it's that. We're going to have to find those things because not every seed is designed for every ground, which means that this seed that I'm giving out is not designed for every ground. There's some people that are going to hear this seed, this word, and they're going to say, oh, they're in a cult. Even though the word cult just means culture. But some people are going to hear this because why? Because I'm telling you something that's blessing only a certain type of heart, only a certain type of soil. This is not to tell you that you ain't nothing. It might be better for you to go to another type of ground, right? But we're trying to build something that's different here. I'm not trying to just say, hey, show up on a line, show up on a Sunday, show up on a Saturday, give a tithe, give an offering, and just praise God, and everything's going to change. If you're going looking for that, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that's not us. We're trying to actually do something that causes generational change, generational curses to be broken, generational wealth to be in people's pockets, generational communities to happen to where our children will not grow up like we have, to where we recognize we need to get together because they will have grown up being together. And if it ain't your children, maybe it'll be your grandchildren or your great grands, right? But to recognize that it's okay. They will grow up in an environment where before they get into making sure that they play on a phone, they will actually have put their hands in the dirt, right? That's what we're trying to build, right? We're not trying to build something that's just nice to be able to praise and go home. We're not trying to build something that says that look at the cathedral of things. How you doing, Sir Stephen? If I didn't say so already, we're not trying to do that. I'm not saying there's anything. Well, I don't know. Some people might be saying I'm saying something wrong with it. I'm just trying to say that's not what I'm led to. That's not where my passion is. I have a seed that's there, and it depends on who's there. So guess what? Some seed it was ate up by the sun. Some seed it was ate up by the birds. Okay? What does that mean? That means that that ground that was there, that it says, and really Yahshua tells us what it means. He says that the seed actually didn't even have a chance because some people's hearts, some people's passions are so tied to the Satan that the Satan is literally able to just come by and swoop it up before it even has a chance to fall down. Now they're getting the same seed. I'm throwing out the same seed. I'm not changing it up for anybody. They're getting the same seed. They're getting the same opportunity. They're getting the same word. They're having the same passion. They're seeing the same person. And yet because their passion's tied to the wrong thing, they're chasing after the money instead of letting the money follow them. Because their passions are in the wrong place, guess what? They get ate up. So the seed is the same. I'm not giving anything different. We're doing well, thank you, sir. Right? I'm not doing anything different. I don't come in front of somebody who believes different than somebody who doesn't believe. I'm giving you the same person. I'm giving you who I am. But guess what? You're going to give people who you are, and some people, because of where they are and what they do and what they chase, guess what? Since they don't chase things of value that cause you to become a tree that's planted by the rivers of water, then in your season will get fruit. They're chasing after the fruit rather than trying to become the tree itself. And so people who are chasing after fruit rather than trying to become the thing that gives fruit, they're not going to hear this word. It's okay. I still love them. I still appreciate it. I still pray for you. Right? You know what I'm saying? I still pray for you. I still want you to succeed. I pray with the Most High says that His intent is for you, that you would have that you would be able in all your dealings to have success, right? But all I can do is plant out the seed. But some of the seed gets ate because of where somebody's passion is, where their heart is, right? So I might not sow from that particular. I'm sorry, I might not reap from that particular place that I sowed, but that's okay. It says there's another place that I sow, and I'm telling you, different people, different situations I deal with all the time. I sow in another place. All right, I sow in another place. You ready for this? I sow in another place. Well, what does it say about somewhere else you sow? It says sometimes you sow, and it says that the person catches some of the word, right? But because of the vicissitudes of life, because of the different things that happen, because of all these things that are going on, and life happens, they get excited about it, right? It gets rooted in the ground somewhat. They start to grow it a little bit in this. They're excited. You ever had somebody, man, I'm excited. I can't wait for this. I can't do this. So they get into it. But then when life hits, it says that the weeds of life chokes out what they're trying to do. It's not that you gave a bad seed. Don't blame yourself, right? It's not that you gave a bad seed. I've had to learn this. I've cried my eyes out many a night, sitting up there. Why didn't somebody get it? I thought this was going to be the person. This person followed me around. I had a person who I thought was going to be my armor bearer was going to come out there and mess like 10 years off and on in my life, and this person never got it together. I swore, like I saw the service in this dude, I saw the passion, I saw all this stuff, but he kept falling off. It was always something from his past, or always somebody who he used to hang out with, or always some dude who was out there in the in the street, on some thug slash pimp stuff or whatever that attracted him back. And I swear to you, off and on for 10 years, but almost ruining my marriage and stuff, right? Like with this dude trying my hardest to help this person out. And right, like I used to be one of those people that gave and gave and gave and never had boundaries that they needed to, right? And eventually I had to say to myself, you know what? And all that stuff that's going on, that's not on me. I'm giving the same thing, right? I don't condemn myself. Romans 8:1. I'm not, right? I'm not going to condemn myself. I'm above condemnation because I'm walking after the Spirit and I'm not walking after things of the flesh anymore. So if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and he's falling off, he got to take responsibility for that. I got to stop chasing after that, right? I'm not chasing after the fruit, right? I'm the tree. I produce fruit. If I'm a tree and others around me ain't fruitful, then it means right, like if it's then it means that that's not coming from me. As long as I'm righteous, as long as I'm by right legal standing. Now, if you're doing all types of wild stuff and people around you falling off, you got to you got to be accountable for that. Hey, how you doing, Evan Dean? Thank you. Right? Like, but if I'm out there putting out what the word of Yah says, and somebody just won't do what they're supposed to do, I got to realize that that's not my fruit. That's them being uh, something that sprang out of the ground for a second, and then got choked out by the weeds. That's not on me. That's where they are, right? Then we go to the next one. What does it say after that? We go to the next one. It says that there are some people that you'll give a word and it'll root and go down, but it won't go down quite deep enough. And so it'll never fully grow, and eventually it'll die off because the roots just never go down, which means that you gave them something, they were excited about it, but they ain't putting in, they're not really rooted all the way. So guess what? Like, since it needs to go deep, the roots need to go deep, but they ain't really trying to go but so deep. They're not, once again, trying to get in position that they might give fruit. The roots, so they like what you say, but they're not really going to move but so much. They're not really going to pray that much. They're not really going to fast that much. They're not really going to talk that much. They're not really going to teach that much. They're not really going to give that much. They're not really going to have effort that much. They'll give some. You can depend on them for some things, but you can't depend on them for everything, and that's okay, right? By the way, we're all human, so we all can fit into some of these categories at times in our life, right? But you got to get to a place to where you realize, okay, I'm gonna keep, but the sower is giving out the same seed. But then it says there's some places where you will sow seed, and when you sow seed, not only will it grow, but it will grow. Some of them 30-fold, some of them 60-fold, some of them 100-fold. Which means that let's say it's 100-fold. I'm gonna focus on 100-fold. If it's 100-fold, I throw out the seed, I throw out the same word, I'm doing the same stuff, and I throw it out. It's 100-fold, and yet when I throw out that 100-fold, right? And let's say, so I got 100-fold, I got 100 return. And by the way, 100-fold means it's going to turn into 100 trees, which means the fruit is going to be a whole lot more exponential than what a lot of us get out of that. But I got 100 trees that are going to grow. Let's say I threw out 10 seed in the stony ground and all that stuff, and I threw out 50 seed in the ground, that had the life choked out of it, and then I had 70 seed that I threw out in this place that was kind of rooted, but it never came to what it was supposed to be. But then I get 100 trees growing. Then it means that I sowed that which I sowed, I still reaped, and I still reaped exponentially, even if a couple of them, in comparison, if a few of them that I sowed didn't turn out all the way what it was supposed to be, it doesn't mean that I didn't get everything back that I was supposed to get. And then there's a question right after that. Matthew chapter 13. Matthew chapter 13, verse around 9, 10, where Yahshua, after he finishes saying that, he's asked a question. How you doing, Sister Bree? Right? After that, he's asked a question. By his own disciples. They said, because he had just preached that to everybody, right? The multitudes heard him say that. His disciples are like, yo, why are you always talking to them in parables? Right? That's what they ask. That's the question that's asked. Why are you always talking to them in parables? And he says something that's powerful. See, you got to comprehend the seed. Once again, it's only supposed to grow in certain places, and people don't like this. But that's why we talk about being around people that are like-minded. You might not like what I'm saying, but I'm telling you the real deal, and I'm telling you the truth. They said, yo, why are you always talking to them in parables? You know what his response was? Yahshua said, because it's not for them to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. It's not for them. It's not for them. They're not in the place yet. See, you, my disciples, you're disciplined disciples. Hello, Shalom, Minister Sonia. You're disciplined disciples. Right? I'm giving you mysteries. I'm giving it to them in what you call parables, because to them, yeah, it's a parable. That's not even the word that Yahshua used. That's a new word that somebody else put on there. But either way, fine. He gave it. He said it's for them. It comes off as parables, but for you, it's going to have to be deeper. And then he explained it further to them than he did to everybody else. Why? Because they were in position and they were going to give much fruit. So he said to the person that's in position, let me give you more fruit. Right? The person that's in position, I'm going to give much fruit. He said kindergarten, right? So there's some people that aren't in position. It's not about that. See, and once again, that's the problem, is that we're talking about nation building, but how do you nation build when you're not even in the position to build, let alone you're in a position to be a nature? You're a whole nation, a holy nation, a peculiar people. You're not supposed to fit in. This seed ain't for everybody. A chosen generation. We just talked about this yesterday, right? And you're also a royal priesthood. And in our culture, they only use one word, which means that there's not a separate word for royalty than there is for priest. If you're a royalty, then you're a priest. If you're a priest, then you're royalty. You can't be a royal priesthood and not be royalty. The problem is, though, you don't think like royalty, because royalty never chases money. Money comes after those that are royal. People try to become music artists because they want to become rich. But the rich music artists are the ones that make music for themselves. People try to start YouTube channels because they want to become rich. But the people that become rich off of YouTube channels, they make money because they simply are themselves. Whether you agree with who themselves are or not, that's a whole nother discussion. But you're chasing after the wrong thing. People try to say we're going to infiltrate this wicked system because we want it to be something that makes all of us rich. But the people in the wicked system that are rich, they don't even live in the same system they put you in. They're not even in the same class. You're trying to be royalty, but you're not priestly. You're trying to be priestly, but not royalty. I can't tell you how many priests I've heard speak and preach and talk about how you need to be okay with being poor. Now the poor will be with us always. But what's the context of that? Does that mean you ain't supposed to take care of each other? That you always supposed to be in squalor? That you should never have any land to go to? That something's there? If the poor are with us always, you know why they're really rich? Because in our system, if I got, enough food for 100 people, I don't keep it to myself. I make sure that if I have enough food for 100 people, bare minimum, I should make sure at least there's food that 10 people can come around and get. In our system, you can't be royal without being a priest. You can't be a priest without being royal. It's just water. That's all it really is. It's just water. People have been asking about this all day. It's just water. Right? But you can't be a priest without being royalty. You can't be a royalty without being a priest. We only have one word for that. They separated. That's why they got you. They tricked you. Separation between church and state. In our culture, you can't separate the kingdom from the kingdom. See, you're so busy thinking spirituality is different than government, and government is different than spirituality. In our culture, the government is the kingdom, and the kingdom is the government. The government is the spirit, and the spirit is the government. Right? Money is not the government. Therefore, money is not priestly. Uh-oh, because now we got prosperity ministry in our sites. Right now I got prosperity ministry. I'm looking at it. As I'm looking at prosperity ministry and I'm aiming, because we're going to kill that demon today. If I'm looking at prosperity ministry, which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with prospering. Prospering really just means to push. But as we're trying to kill this demon off, prosperity has become, if you ain't got no money, you ain't blessed. But money's not real. Money is only as real as the kingdom you're a part of. A priest would know that. It would never confuse the priestly with something else, because the government and the priests are the same thing. I can't be a king, I can't be a queen without being a priest. In other words, I know I'm talking about a specific tribe here, but hopefully you get the context. I can't be a Levi, or I can't be a Levite, and at the same time, I can't be a Levite and then not have power in the government. And I can't have power in the government without being a Levite. Hopefully you get the context of that. I can't say that I'm speaking and living and preaching a word, but then I don't govern, or I have nothing that governs me. Because guess what? Also, prosperity ministry also teaches that I don't have to follow no law. That's because you're in a Nicolaitan doctrine, right? Lay people are conquered. That's Nicolaitan doctrine. And you go to churches where Nicolaitan doctrine rules. And doctrine, by the way, the word doctrine literally just means anything that people lift up. If you're a Republican, you got Republican doctrine. If you're a Democrat, you got Democratic doctrine. You said everyone made sacrifice in the temple. The Levites just led the other priests in the ceremony. Um, I mean, yes and no. Certain sacrifices can't be made by just anybody. But yeah, I mean, you can make a sacrifice for yourself and not be a Levite. Matter of fact, before there was anything such thing as a Levite, sacrifices were made, right? But hopefully you get the context. That's what I'm saying. That you get the context of what I'm saying as far as you can't be royalty without being a priest, and you can't be a priest without being royalty. At the end of the day, and that's one of the things we have. You're part of a government that says separate church and state, and so when they do that, they say, now we got them. We got them cognitive dissonance. We separated the royalty from the priesthood. Now that we separated royalty and priesthood, let's start telling them that money is what makes you royalty, or that money is what makes you a priest. And so now people go, oh man, Kenneth Copeland, he's blessed because he makes a lot of money. He must be a priest. Uh oh, uh oh, right? Oh man, you know what? So and so they living the life, and I'm not living it. I must not be as holy as them. Uh oh. We separated that royalty from that priesthood, that church, and that state. They got you. How you doing, Curtis? Thanks for being part of the community. They got you. Uh-oh, we're going to separate the royalty from the priesthood. So guess what? Now the money's there and we can use it since we separated them. And we got them thinking that they can only be royalty if they make a certain amount of money. We can start saying, man, you know what? I'm not on that spiritual stuff. I've been fine my whole life. I ain't never worried about no spiritual stuff. I made all the money and I'm happy and this and that. I don't have no problems, blah, blah, and this and that or whatever. Uh-oh, they got you. Yeah, exactly, right? Well, if you was really smart, why you ain't make no money? Right? How could you be so poor? That's a great point. People say that. Right? And you said Levites don't have an inheritance. Exactly, but Levites don't necessarily need a physical inheritance. Right? That's a great point because Levites we don't need a physical inheritance. You know why? Because it says if we simply are Levites, if we're simply the tree, if we simply are who we're supposed to be, it says we're taken care of. And when I realized that, see, there's nothing like being a Levite and trying your best to have a 9 to 5. It's one of the most disobedient, disrespectful things to the kingdom that you will ever do. Thank you for the love. I appreciate it. It's one of the most disrespectful things, right? And you're right, brother TJ, right? In money they trust. It's one of the most disrespectful things you can do. I can't tell you how many preachers are racking their brain because they're trying their best to work overtime and stuff, trying to keep a building going because nobody's giving any kind of help to them. And at the same time, they're not able to study to give a message, so they're just giving the same message in different versions over and over and over and over again. Um, can you jump on to ask me a few questions? Um, okay, for a tiny bit, Sanchina, if you would like. You can go ahead and jump on for a tiny bit. If let me see, hold on. Well, I don't know if it'll let me let you on. Hold on 1 second. Okay, your name just disappeared. Oh, okay. You requested. Okay. Yeah, we can let you on just for. I don't know how long we can do it, but you can go ahead and jump on. We'll see where this goes. But yeah, right. Now hold on 1 second. Let me turn you up because we got multiple devices going on at the same time. So I think we should be able to hear you. All right. Are you on? Yeah, I can hear you. I have to repeat what you're saying a little bit because on my phone for whatever reason I got you kind of low. But you okay? What's up? How you doing? Thank you. Amen. Um, no, that's a great question. Great question. And thank you for the question. And if you want to stay on for a little bit, I know I don't know how long we have you on, but I don't want to just have you go leave or whatever. But to answer your question, yeah. First of all those things are great. Here's something that we got to get past too, right? And I'm gonna try and answer it as fast as I can. But I'm so those who didn't hear, basically the question was you know, Gaddafi, what he was doing as far as getting ready to make sure that things were financially there. He was already doing so in a sense. Like he already had it where people who were getting married didn't have to worry about like a lot of bills for a year. He made sure that young men were learning certain things. He made sure that women were actually put in specific positions that people were like jealous of all over the place. But I guess the main question is Gaddafi was getting ready to have their own currency based off of their own jewels and different things that they had, things that they could back up their currency with, and that's really the reason why he was killed. And so would that have benefited Africa? And then the second part of the question was, um, do we believe, or basically like, is that something that the Most High wanted him to do? So if I can start from a place once again of the seed. Remember we talked about throw the seed no matter where. Great question, Sanchino. Thanks for being part of it. Am I pronouncing that right, Sanchino? Is that right? Okay. So so one of the things that he wanted us to do is to is first of all, remember we throw the seed everywhere, right? So if I'm gonna throw the seed, I'm not worried about are you Muslim, are you black enough, are you Libyan, are you whatever tribe, etc. Right? Number one. So also too, there's another thing I would put with that all the gifts that we have, the gifts come without repentance, right? So what does that mean? That means that somebody might not even be living 100% right, but they still have certain gifts, right? So you can have singers out there that can, that can be all over the place, and at the same, and be into drugs, be into this, be into that, and they're still using their gift, right? And so they're still having certain things. There are people out there that tithe. Like there's companies that tithe and they don't believe in the word of Yah, but they still make money back when they tithe. Why? Because the gifts come without repentance. There's certain things. There's laws, natural law, kingdom law, etc. If you do it, it's going to happen no matter what. And so even somebody can have a heart. Remember, we even talked about the soil. I don't know how long you've been on, but we were talking about the soil, the four different types of soil and passion that people have. So even when you're throwing out the word or the seed, somebody might be in a different position when they get it, but it doesn't mean that it's not righteous seed. So going to Gaddafi, I think that yeah, it's he had a principle. He had a kingdom principle. Sorry, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. Those are origins or principles or kingdom origins. So he had a kingdom origin. Kingdom origin is that you sow unto others, you serve others, and you make sure that you have things that are backed up by something that's substantial by land. That's an origin to things, right? So he basically was doing something, and would it have benefited Africa? Yeah. Matter of fact, they're trying. I forget what it's called. They supposedly have started something new with a bunch of countries now that kind of sort of is what he's doing, but they're not. Basically, like a lot of, I think it's 30 to 40 countries, something like that, are trying to back up their money by things that are not outside of the continent anymore. So people have learned some of it. It's not exactly what he was doing, but yeah, like he was doing something that was powerful. And so can we say that's something that the Most High wants us to do? Yeah, like most definitely. Like even if whatever your beliefs is, I didn't know Gaddafi personally, so I can't, tell you a bunch of stuff about him outside of what I've read or heard. But so I'm not here to judge, and I never have a heaven or hell to put anybody in. That's not my position. But real talk, like for somebody to say, I'm gonna take care of my people, I'm gonna take care of our community, I'm gonna make sure that people who've been downtrodden for a long time have things. Besides other things he was already doing, I can't say that's I can't say I don't see Alakam in that. Like that would be disingenuous. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Let me talk about that real quick because I know what the enemy, the devil, always wants is
Hmm.
to go against God, right?
Yeah.
So whatever God is come upon us, the devil will always try his very best to go against that. So in this sense that I'm saying, potentially, let's say in a hypothetical world, it was God's wish. There is a certain time the Lord calls us to be prudent. The Bible says, "Be prudent, for you don't know the enemy, the devil, prowls around like a lion,
Uh-huh.
devouring you." So there's a prudently do things, right? I don't know if he announced the information that he was going to bring Africa into one kingdom of bang. I don't know if he did it out loud because we know the enemy, the devil, is always listening. I don't know if he was discreet about it. I feel like this is me just thinking as a human. think he should have gone on about it in secret. He should have secretively done it within his community, within his own people. And if the governments found out, if the Western countries, then they found out. But the fact that when you're going to do something big like that, you got to be discreet because the enemy, the devil, will always mess with. This is the reason why, as children of God, when you have a plan or when the Lord has put something amazing inside your heart, you got to be discreet about it. Because if you're loud, the enemy, the devil, can overhear. And he's always putting people around, spies, information. And when you put it out there, he will send the people to plot against you. Because I just want to bring something really important. I'm from Africa in a country called Congo. So there used to be this government king of ours that was called Lumumba.
Yeah.
He was the modern day Gaddafi because he was bringing everything together.
Mm-hmm.
But he was publicly making everything that he wanted to establish within the country. And you know the enemy, the devil, is always lurking. And we know that he has these people running the governments. So what he did was he sent there was Americans that heard the information and they believed such information was a threat to them, and they sent people to plot against his own people, and his own people went against them, and they stopped killing them. So they killed him just like how they killed Gaddafi because they knew that he was the one president in there that was integral, that was God used, and he was for the people. And the devil will never allow somebody that is doing God's will to stand in the country because this way you won't be able to sell all your fake merchandise. You won't be able to steal from the first people. You won't be able to be doing things on the side. You're doing things on the side. That they want somebody that's a puppet that is working with other countries out there against the country that they can always come in and just take the diamonds, the merchandise, the whatever that is important to people. Then they use it against them. They're not knowing that they're actually stealing from their people, just like how the Belgian king came to Africa
Mm-hmm.
and he came to help the people, but he didn't actually help the people. He came and stole from the people, and today the country is at its devastation. It is at a apocalyptic type of situation, and Africa has not rebuilt from the situation, which was done so many years ago, so many years ago. And yeah, that's what all I wanted to say. So yeah, the devil's a liar, bro, and he will always use governments
Mm-hmm.
to use our country and to steal what is ours. And sometimes, even though God's wish is for you to be amazing and to, so let's say, for example, God prophesies that tomorrow you're going to be a king. If you go ahead and announce it to the whole world and the devil hears it and you're not being discreet, you may not be that king. That gift might be with you because you did not protect it. God can give a blessing, but the important thing is to know how to protect it and how to expand it. And that's all I really wanted to say, bro.
Okay, Sanchina, we'll appreciate it and thank you. There's a lot of different things that you said in there that are powerful, especially if we go into the Republic of Congo, because if we're talking about Congo and you know, being from there, you know, you can correct me or say, you know, but I'm hip to a lot of it. You know, I have a lot of people not from Congo per se, even though, you know, I have a couple people of our people that are, you know, married into some people from tribes there, but, you know, I'm hip to a lot of the stuff. Lumumba is somebody that I've studied. I need to study a lot more of, but I have somebody I've definitely studied and listened to and listened to, you know, things that he spoke. And you know, I look at him in high regards the same way I would look at like a, you know, Kwame Nkrumah or, you know, somebody of that ilk. You know, Malcolm X, same type of mindset as far as me, except, you know, they were in positions
Yeah.
of government power and governmental roles. When you're looking at, even in that case, that's one of the reasons. So even when we're trying to build our land, one of the things that we look at is Revelation chapter 12, because even this thing that says discreetly, like discreet or diligently, you know, or discreet, especially in Alpha or Hebrew context, is a lot different. But basically, discreet, even in modern, a lot of even modern dictionaries, discreet is not just saying only quietly, but also it means like, are you paying attention? Are you diligent? Are you putting certain things in order? Right? Like Mark chapter 12 verses, oh, I got the right. I think it's Mark chapter 12, verse 28 through 34, where it's Yahshua speaking, and the person listened discreetly, heard him answering all the questions, and so he asked the question, well, what's the greatest of commandments? You know, well, here are Israel. He quotes Deuteronomy 6:4, right? So he was listening, and him and his boys came to actually come against Yahshua, and he realized, he just sat back. He was like, well, let me not only be quiet, but also let me pay attention. Let me, like, you know, see what he's doing. Oh, wow, he's answering all these things correct. That was him being discreet. And then he said, well, let me give you a question, because hey, I was, as a Pharisee, I had to basically, from like 3, 4 years old at the most, I had to basically live my life around the temple, and I wasn't able to be at home like I wanted to. I didn't really grow up with my people, so all I know is law. Can you tell me the most important thing? So when you're dealing with something and you're building something, like Lumumba did, one of the things is there. Revelation chapter 12 tells us that Israel, this woman with 12 crowns, or anybody grafted in, by the way, we're not saying that you got to be one tribe or one people only, but this group of people at Revelation 7 has to be sealed, and then says everybody else who's grafted in, we come on according to the same context, the same word, the same law, the same principles, etc., the same kingdom, the same doorway, which is Yahshua, or who some people call Jesus. Um, when you go through that together, it's saying that we're supposed to come through on the same principles. Now with Lumumba, what happens is you have an issue to where he's there, but he hasn't. In Revelation 12, it says that Israel and everybody grafted in, like-minded people, they need to separate themselves, because when you read it, basically out of the woman who's mentioned in Genesis 3, who's mentioned in Jeremiah chapter 3, now mentioned again out of Israel, this woman, a child that was born, a son that was given, that's Isaiah, right? And so this child comes out, he was bruised in the heel, bruises the enemy in the head, and all of a sudden the woman, and then all of a sudden the woman, it says, goes into the wilderness. Yahshua is going to be raised. So we picking up the story now from Acts chapter 1 and Revelation 12. Yahshua is raised up. It says that the devil tried to go after him and couldn't get to him, was fighting the angels. Him, the devil, and his imps, they lose. They get put back down on the earth. Meanwhile, the woman, Israel, and everybody grafted into her, like-minded people, has gone into the wilderness, and it says that she's protected by the Most High. So when the devil tries to shoot his people and his angels and everything at him, it says that the Most High literally uses the clay or the ground or his word or his principles to be able to take care of this woman in the wilderness. Well, why is she in the wilderness? Same reason as before, get ready for this new Yerushalayim that's going to come from heaven, Shamayim, to come to Aretz, to come to earth. So now you have us in a position to where we're separated. Then it says what the devil does as he turns and he looks for a remnant, right? So now he's looking for a remnant of people to try, and so people that are not connected, people that are not part of the chosen generation, the royal priesthood, the holy nation, the peculiar people, etc. They are part of it, but not all the way, right? They're part of it. They're part of the ground, but they're not the seed that gives 30, 60, 100 fold. Now here comes the enemy trying to send that bird in or send that sun to scorch the seed or just to pick the seed up before it could even go into the earth. And so that's where we're supposed to be. So when we're dealing with this stuff, a lot of our problem is that when we start, so I agree with you in like 99.9% of what you said. Like I don't even know if we have any disagreement. In all honesty, I'm just saying I want to bring out more light to it, what you were saying, because what you said is powerful. And I think what people are missing when we're going once again to like people are chasing the money or chasing other people's culture or chasing things outside the word. When you put this stuff together, a lot of times what happens is we don't say, hey, before we put it together, are we going to separate first? Like that's the part that's missing. Like, and you being from the Republic of Congo, there's many different things as far as many different tribes, many different women, many different men, many different patriarchs, matriarchs that were there. To where what happened first is before you could come together. The Congo was already, what we now call the Republic of Congo, was already jacked up because of other people who before your country became colonized. What had to happen is that other people around were colonized, which meant that you already had artificial borders that were already being put around your people. So then you got a weird thing going on there where you're taking away a sense of who you are, a sense of your land, etc. Right? Sorry for the noise in the background. I guess there's some fire going on or something. But so there's that stuff going on. Then you have Belgium, who's out the game at a certain point. They don't have any real power over any of these African nations or whatever, but they want to get in. They do some research. They discover that you guys have a resource, mainly rubber, right, that they're going to come looking for. So then the first king comes. He doesn't really do much, but then that second king, right, that second one, the junior, he's the one that comes, right, and starts really messing everything up or whatever. He actually sends his army because his country doesn't want to be involved in the trade. So he had to actually go outside his own country, which is something else we dismissed too, is that they had to actually mess up other people. Like we just go to white man to black man. They had to actually take all of their soldiers and they put them back in boot camp basically, and they taught them, hey, we're about to send you to what we now call the Congo. We're about to send you over there, but they're going to look like humans, they're going to talk like humans, but they're not even humans. They had to put that beast on them, that government on them, to reshift their mind and their focus. Then they send them back, and they started doing that.
You're seeing it exactly how I said it, but you're using different analogies to go with it. It's so powerful how you understood my message. And right now, you're breaking it down in your angle, and it's so perfect, so amazing. Keep going, bro.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you, right? So, so then they did all that. They had to, they had to take them and change their perception of what humanity was. Then they said, okay, now that you don't think these people are human beings, let alone they could be connected to any kind of promise of the Most High, right? Now that we've separated that royalty from that priesthood, now we say, okay, we're going to send you in, and now you're going to think that it's, that it's part of like the manifest destiny, white man's burden, doctrine of discovery type stuff. Okay, now we're going to send you in, and you're going to take over. And now, if you cut off people's hands, if you cut off children's hands, if you cut off their legs, if you kill them, if you have them hanging like clothespins, you know the story better than I do. If you have them doing all these different things, to where the stench of stuff is so bad, right? Like it smells like death almost everywhere you walk in certain places of the country. You're not going to think anything's wrong with that. And now you have a people who, because they've been destitute of who they are for so long, that they're going to think nothing's wrong with it. So now here comes the deal, even to when you start seeing all these people, including where a lot of my tribe is from, Ghana, like we're Shui, and Ashanti Shui connection and stuff like that. Also, we have some people connected to Nigeria. But when you see places like even there, we forget that even in Ghana and South Africa and in the Republic of Congo and many others, that's why a lot of us have people like Castro in higher regard than people would think that we shouldn't, because Castro tried to go to America too. America actually was the reason why Cuba went through a lot of stuff that they went through in their fight for independence. And Castro went to America first. So did and so did Lumumba. Lumumba went to America first, and then America said, "Oh, we don't like the fact that you won. We wanted not only Belgium to be in power, but really we wanted things to be in power." So the CIA works with Belgium because Lumumba gave that speech that he did where he didn't bow down to the third. So they didn't like the first. The second was the one that got the stuff, but then they basically got separated. The third, basically is there, and he's getting ready to leave, and he's waiting for this lovely, gracious speech on his way out. And because he didn't hear certain words, certain seed put out there, he legit says, "Okay, you know what? Bump all that. Like we're gonna make things hard for you." And the CIA jumps in because they're like, "Yeah." And the problem is that we didn't separate. Like we still had this. Like, remember in Kemet, right? When we left Kemet as Israel, when you leave Kemet, you got to remember that you had to separate yourself. That was the initial thing. It never said in the beginning, "Hey, Israel needs to just go ahead and leave." At first, it was, "Can we just go worship? 3 days journey, 3 days journey, 60 miles. Like, can we go 60 miles away? Like, that's how much we need to be able to leave y'all. Can we go 60 miles away so we completely separate from y'all, and then we can actually worship the way we're supposed to, and then we can start actually thinking about coming to ourselves and stuff like that." And Pharaoh was like, "No," because he understood, if you start worshiping by yourself, then you're going to start looking for other things for yourself too, and that means the end of us having you in debt and being slaves. We can't do that. So it's the same thing. Like, you have a lot of people that say we're going to separate, but then they never actually say we're going to separate fully. Like, Lumumba was great and all that stuff, but But as much as it's going to sound weird, democracy was not the thing, because that's not something that we did. We had something greater that were kingdoms. And when we were at our best as the black diaspora, Moorish diaspora, African diaspora, whatever diaspora you want to call us, when we've been at our best, there was no such thing as democracy. Democracy literally means democracy. Demo, a few people that live together in a village. Cressy governed you, and we never really did that. Like, we governed over environments, but we weren't supposed to be over people. Now, I'm not saying everybody was perfect with it. We in African communities had people that were, very bad as well. But what I'm saying is, like, overall, especially when the more ancient you get, the greater we were at making sure that we created an environment where everybody could be there. So here comes somebody who institutes this vile thing from like the late 1800s all the way into like the 1960s, right? Yeah, 1960s. And then Lumumba comes and he's trying his best to free his people, but he's still using Eurocentric mindset to try and do it. And you can't really get your people out of Eurocentric mindset while at the same time simultaneously, still staying in, you know, um, you're or trying to go back to your Afrocentric root. So you have a guy now, like, you could say the same thing about Sankofa, or a lot of, or not Sankofa, sorry, Sankara. And a lot of different people out there, right, to where now all it does is, hey, there's somebody still part of this Eurocentric system with the Sambo mindset. You know, some people call it Uncle Tom, but it's really supposed to be Sambo. But a Sambo mindset that's like, yo, if you pay me, I'll do what I'm supposed to do. Matter of fact, in Revelation chapter 2, we talk about this in discipleship class, and we mention it a lot on these live sessions. There's something called Balaam doctrine, Balaam doctrine, and it's right next to Nicolaitan doctrine, which I already mentioned. Nicolaitan doctrine literally means Nikos laity. It literally means that there are people out there teaching that because you're a layperson in church or you deserve to be a slave, basically, that there's people to conquer you. And we call them preachers and stuff nowadays. A lot of preachers conquer people, and they're using the same Eurocentric ideas, not even realizing that. Then there's Balaam doctrine. Balaam doctrine was actually a prophet that was of the Most High, who was paid in gold by somebody to actually come against the people of Yah and create a doctrine that would allow them to come in, because this person who was trying to defeat Israel knew, hey, they're all about the Most High. If you can get them to think that them being in subservience to us, or them being afraid of us in some way, shape, or form, if it gives us a chance to be able to just have all we need is a little bit on them, we can conquer them. And so that's what the guy did, even though eventually he didn't even want credit for it, kind of like Judas Iscariot. He tried to give the money back, but the guy was like, no, you helped us out by then. So we're kind of dealing, that's the spirit of it. So that's, so what you're saying, yeah, it's very powerful, very true about Gaddafi, about Lumumba. We can talk about Sankara, we can talk about Kwame, we can talk about Queen Nzinga. We can talk about not only Shaka, but Shaka's, cousin that came behind him and fought against the British. There's a lot of people who have that same mindset. But if you don't separate yourself completely and come from a place of, okay, now that we've got our tribe together, now that we've gone back to our roots, now that we're actually thinking the way we think, now you can actually combat something, because you can't fight Eurocentrism with Eurocentrism. You can't fight Europe with Europe. You got to fight freedom against Europe. European literally means not white people. European literally means anything that belongs to Rome. And we know what's romantic is going to mess us up. So, but.
Yeah. Bro, can I quickly add something real quick? Can I just jump on something real quick?
Okay, real quick. Yeah, sure.
Alright, so this might be completely like new to everybody's ears. I want us to just think freely, just think freely, okay? Think for a second. So you know how they say slavery was all about obviously taking the people and killing people, all that stuff. I don't think um, slavery story is actually told truthfully. I believe the story behind slavery is this. So when the so-called Europeans, as you mentioned, and so-called Western countries went to the kingdoms of Africa, I believe they had one intention, and this is the intention. I believe Africa is Israel. And Africa is where life began, and it is the very place where the Garden of Eden even is, right? So, the number one thing they went in there to discover was what the Bible was always saying. There's nothing more powerful than this. There's one verse which the Bible says that this is the most powerful. It says, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. So I'm going to take this. The knowledge, right? The people went into Esau because they discovered and they heard there is a power which has been bestowed upon Africa, which they didn't have hold of, which they wasn't in possession of. And this is a power today that many people talk down on and call it witchcraft, right? I'm gonna use that metaphor. They call it as witchcraft. But the actual elements behind it is not witchcraft. It is a power source which today nobody knows the label, because nobody has been given the knowledge yet to know what that power is called. I'll just call it the gift of God, right? There is a gift of God which God put in Africa, which the Westerns heard about, and they never knew the power. So when we went to so-called destroy Africa, they didn't come to steal gold and silver. These are things you can make. They have the technology today to make. They went to steal the very powerful thing itself, which even in the Black Panther is called. There's a technology in there. The Black Panther refers to. I don't know if it's called the verbal
The vibranium or
something
something you
like
talking
this,
about?
something like that. It's the vibranium. There you get it. God bless you, my brother. So the vibranium that which they went out to steal, it is a power source which they went to steal. So when they went there, our people, our ancestors told them, we cannot give you this power because it's not a physical thing we can give. They said, what do you mean it's not a physical thing? We're not seeking for diamonds. We're not seeking for gold. He said, if you want gold, we can give you gold. This is our ancestors speaking. But what you're seeking for is not a physical thing which you can see. It is a spiritual thing. And they said, okay, how do we obtain this? Then the ancestors replied back, we cannot tell you this because this is sacred and it's only for the land, for the people of the land, right? So that's when they put the gun and they forced them to kill, is being impaled. They put people on the crosses and they did all of that to demonstrate that forces that behind that they willing to go further if they didn't know this secret. So in the end, there was one ancestor that was left there. He was the elder, and he had no choice but to tell them the power and the secret of the source. And when he spoke the secret of the source, that's when they killed everybody and they killed him. And today they've taken that source today. That is the reason why there are mysterious witchcraft kind of things that's being done in this Western countries today that we see and we do not know, but they are actually using our own power against us. The enemy took something from us, which now he has multiplied within his technology and is using it against us. That is the reason why it's been so many centuries Africa still can't build because there's been witchcraft placed upon Africa. But the witchcraft I'm talking about isn't juju. The witchcraft I'm talking about is God gift himself, which, all right, so put it this way. You may ask me, how can God's gift destroy us? So when God gives you a gift, he gave you the freedom of choice to do right and do wrong. If you have the ability of fire, right, you can either use it to, let's say we're in cold winter and it's snowing. You can use that fire in order to heal your family, to keep everybody warm in the house. But if you're evil and demonic, you can use that fire to burn somebody, correct? You can use that power to burn somebody. So in this sense, I'm saying there's our own power which the enemy, the devil, is using against us. That's what he took from our people. So today we're enslaved, not because they went there to steal the quotas, to steal the governments, to steal what they stole from us is the very power which God gave us, and that's the true power. And
Okay.
this power, that power, Benson programs everybody and put everybody under that spell. This is the reason why people can't think for themselves. That's why you will have a fellow Christian brother that still hates another Christian brother. Another Christian sister hates another Christian sister. Because there's greater power being manifested as well. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say real quick.
All right. Well, appreciate it. Great word, great message, and thanks for being on with the Sunchina. Appreciate you.
Yeah,
And
what do you think about that though? What do you think?
oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. I lost you. But yeah. So yeah, I think what you're saying is there's a lot of correct stuff in there. I think that once again it comes from a cultural thing, right? We talked about some of this, by the way. We on our YouTube channels. We got a series on there on one of our playlists saying it's called "Having Been Led as We Believe." Um, but when we talk about these things, I think that one of the things that we're not aware of, that we don't think about, that we're not concerned about and worried about, is the context, right? So, if you were to look at, first of all, what we call the Garden of Eden, first of all, you have to look at a place called Eden or Adon, um, right? Adon, but now we call it Eden because we don't speak language properly or we speak somebody else's language. And when you look at Adon or Eden, number one, the world didn't look the same as what we think it to be. So what we call Africa now, first of all, like even if I could break this down, I'm gonna try my best. I know that we're coming close to when it's time for us to take our leave, but I'm gonna try my best to break it down as much as I can. If you were to take the way that things used to look in Eden or Adon, right? Um, if you were to take that first and foremost, so let's just look at that. If you were talking about where Eden was, the Garden of Eden is different than Eden, and the world used to look different, right? Some people used to call it, or some people call it, what is it when they call Pangea? There was one. Earth, that everything was together. If you get a chance to look it up on a map, look it up on a map, look Google image search, whatever, right? You had Pangea. And so you have Pangea where everything was together. Everything was in one place. How you doing, Cash? Uh, and so when you talk about Eden and you talk about Africa and you talk about all these different things, you got to recognize that like Eden stretched to different places. Matter of fact, the Bible talks about the world being split up too, because you have to recognize that when the Bible was split up, it was when the Bible was, or I'm sorry, the Bible was split up. Huh? When the earth, what we call the earth, the not the Arats, but the Adamah, or even the Arats, when that what one continent was split up before it was split up with Avra, or who we call Ebre or Hebrew son, Peleg or Pelag. His son's name literally indicates that he was named um, after the earth splitting up. So the Bible even agrees with the fact that it was actually a different connection point, right? Today we say that there's 7 continents, for example, but a continent, before they changed the definition and changed our mindset, a continent used to initially be defined as a complete land or a huge landmass completely surrounded by water, right? So the huge landmass completely surrounded by water, that means that Europe's not a continent, Asia's not a continent, Africa's not a continent because they're all connected. It also means that Australia could be a continent, sure, and Antarctica could be a continent, sure, but North America and South America are not separate continents. They're one continent because they're connected, which is why if you look up the original definition of an American, the original definition of American is a copper-colored person indigenous to the Americas because it's one continent, Turtle Island, one place. All right, so when we look at all these different things, you're dealing with them all being one at one point. South America was attached to Africa. Madagascar and India were attached to Africa, right? Like it was all one place. So Eden is a lot bigger than what people actually think it is. And as a matter of fact, Adam was made in Eden, but he was not made in the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden is actually told that it's in a different place. And people will say, well, how is it in some people try to say it's in Babylon, it's in India, it's in part of it's in Madagascar, part of it's in East Africa. Well, that's because all those places were together on the map. They were all one place. Even science agrees. Scientists who don't believe in the Bible, because there's a lot of scientists that do, but scientists that don't believe in the Bible believe that all those places were connected at one point, and then they came apart, right, on top. Now, technically, all of those places are still connected underneath. We're all still connected to one source underneath, which means we're technically still all one continent, but we don't look at it that way. So, but if we're talking about Africa, sure. So when you're talking about Africa and you're talking about the Garden of Eden, you're talking about something where it looked a lot different, a lot of land, Australia, Madagascar, India, Assyria, Kemet, Kush, that's all one place, right? Those 4 rivers that we talk about, they made the borders. They were all in one place, all right? So Eden is different than the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden, we're talking about a specific place where all these things were, right? So people have always known that. People have always loved going to Babylon and loved going to this place and loved going to this place. And they always, because guess what? That's all Garden of Eden stuff at one point. Now, the Garden of Eden is not there anymore in the sense that it was. That might have been the particular place. But remember, when we talk about a people or a nation, we talked about nation building yesterday, the nation is not in a physical place. The nation comes with people or the mindset that's there or the environment. If the environment picks up and leaves, then it's no longer that place. So that's why I tell people, like, if you're from the United States of America, you have to recognize there's 2 Americas, not just black versus white, but I'm talking about there's 2 Americas as far as there was the original American, copper-colored American, right? Which is why everybody in the North America and South America, technically all of us are American. But people who are part of the United States of America, they claim 50 different countries that came together united on that same continent. And then they changed maritime law to say not only can we get Alaska, but we can also include Hawaii when they conquered that through the Dole Plantation. So that's a different mind. It's a different culture. We don't think properly. When you set an environment, that's what makes it. So if you colonize a place, what do? You colonize it with the environment of your people. So even though the people that live there might not be British, it's a British colony. They might not be American, it's American territory, which is just a colony. Why? Because the environment is what's the government, right? If you're in the beast, then you're in the government governed by the beast, and that beast comes from the people, and those people came from the devil, right? That's the way that works. So the devil is over the beast, and is over the Antichrist spirit. Why? Because they're connected to him, so he gives an environment through the people that are there. The devil doesn't have to even be at every person. The devil just has to be in the environment. If the devil's in the environment, right? You ever heard the term, the devil's in the details? Okay. So the devil's in the details. As long as he's in the details, he's over the environment, right? Like that's why people are arguing over women's rights more so than they're arguing over, with abortion stuff. We're arguing more so over the right of the woman than we are over the right of the child. We're arguing more so over why isn't it should women not be allowed to have as much sex as they want and men be allowed to have as much sex as they want and they be able to kill off a life rather than actually dealing with the fact that, like, why can't you just be faithful to one person until death do you part? We separated church and state. We separated the royalty from the priesthood, right? So now we got this issue that's popping up where we don't even think about resisting the devil, you know. So peep game. So now because of what you said, yeah. So what you're saying, you're on to something because now when you're talking about Africa, and you're talking about South America, and you're talking about India, and you're talking about Australia, and you're talking about Madagascar. Are these not all places, by the way, that have been colonized and taken over? Correct. Matter of fact, when they came over to, Hispaniola, Haiti, um, etc., right? Haiti, Dominicano people, Cubano, Puerto Ricano, etc. When they came to all these places, what did they do? Christopher Columbus was sent over with the doctrine of discovery, right? That says that if there's no white Christian males there, we take over. But also, when he was sent, before he went in 1492, 1491, he told them that, hey, I'm looking for those specific people, Balaam doctrine. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, we know that he told them about the land of Asheroth. What is the land of Asheroth? Right? What is the land of Asheroth? Well, we're talking, right? What is the land of Asheroth? The land of Asheroth is the land where the 9 tribes of the northern kingdom went to. That's coming out the Apocrypha. Now, once again, most people don't know that because you've been taught not to read your Apocrypha. So why would you worry about the land of Asherah? But it's right there in 2nd Esdras chapter 13, verses 40 through 45. Both, both self and college, but I'd say college definitely doesn't serve me as much as through the community and others. I'm not really self-taught anything. I've taught by, other people who are teachers and masters and things of that, gurus, even if I'm going to use that term, right? But he was looking for what the people of Yah treasured when they left to find a place that nobody inhabited. And what they were looking for was a place, it says the treasure that they wanted was they wanted to be in a place where they could make sure that they worshiped Yah the way that they should have because they kept getting captured because they kept going into these false deities. So they left. Christopher Columbus mentions this to the Queen. Queen says, if they went looking for treasure, we should go looking for treasure because in their culture, treasure is what? Is to conquer people. They didn't even come just for gold. Like you said, you're absolutely onto something. They did take gold because gold is something that they found valuable. And they realized that gold is more valuable than money. So they did take gold, right? They did take silver. They did take certain things. They did take their weapons, guanine weapons, which they actually were honest about. And they said the same guanine weapons they found over there are the same ones found in West Africa, right? They found all those things there, but they didn't come just looking for those things. You're right. They came looking for the people. Because once again, the people are the treasure. Now, when you talk about witchcraft we have to have another conversation about because witchcraft is what? Witch is somebody who's trying to control somebody. Craft just means you're trying to make something. You put the two together, you craft things to control people. So they took things, Balaam doctrine, they took things that were of you, of your people, and they said that Israel ain't really Israel no more, and you guys really don't have no money, and you guys can't worship Elohim, you have to worship God. There's two different deities. God is a Germanic deity, so they brought this whole Germanic romantic thing with them, and they said, hey, because remember, Abyssinia and things like that, they existed. We had Ethiopian kings who were building places. We have some buildings that we know the Ethiopian kings built that go back before the times of Greece, which means that in Cush, right, which makes sense because Moses married a Cushite woman, and Moses was raised in things in the Most High. He was raised in Kemet one way. He knew about where he came from, but he was actually raised in Israelite ways through his father-in-law, right, Jethro, I believe, right, which we would say today, Yatara, right, but Jethro, right, Jethro. And Jethro actually trained him up in Israelite ways, and he married into a woman with Israelite member. Remember, he's getting ready to go back to Kemet, and his wife, a Cushite woman, says, "Hold up, you're not going back there and represent the Most High. I'm not going to have a bloody husband coming up there, somebody who's not in covenant, right, going back before Yah's people." So she does what? She circumcises her own husband. Moses got circumcised when he was old, but he wasn't circumcised as a child. Why? Because if he was circumcised as a child, the jig would have been up, right? So he didn't get circumcised as a child. He learned his Israelite ways when he was out there, um, in in the land of Cush, basically. And then he learned those things and came back. So this thing goes bigger and deeper, right? That's why we try to tell people law doesn't exist just because Moses got 10 laws. Like the law's been there since day one, right? The laws are not something new. People that focus only on 613 they can argue over. The law is not anything new. And the law goes past 613. Anything a king decrees must be established. Anything a queen decrees, it must be established, as they say. Same to you, Sister Ron. So, so, so basically, it was his wife, the Cushite woman, who actually circumcised him. So you're dealing with stuff when you're talking about Africa and stuff. There was knowledge. When people say all the time, they'll say stuff like, "Before somebody told you you were Christian, what were you?" Like we knew about Elohim. Matter of fact, before Israelites went back, to the land of Goshen and went to the place where it was tried, where the tribute was given, where Moses gave a tribute to the king of the land of Canaan. Before all those things, like people in Canaan, when they said Baal or Baal, they weren't talking about the Baal that's there now. We actually have proof in the 1990s that there's a bunch of different things that they started calling Baal because they got twisted too. But before they got twisted, they only had one Baal or one Baal, and he was considered to be the same as what the Chinese call Shangdi, and the same as what we call Alacham. He was considered to be the one and only Yahweh, Alacham, right? And they in Canaan, just like they did in China as well, they believed in Shem and Yavat or Japheth and Ham or Ham, right? They believed in those things. So we're dealing with a whole different thing. So when you're talking about this, now when you get to a place where you're talking about, yeah, somebody can use something for evil, or what is evil? Allow me to go ahead and just give you, because people use these terms good and evil, good really meaning constitutional. And I got to try and finish this up because it's almost time for us to take our leave. But we're talking about something constitutional. Thank you, Marcia. Appreciate it. Right, and I'm sorry, Spicy. I've seen you on there. I'm just trying to get this out of my head. I apologize. I haven't been ignoring you. I hope you're not taking it that way. I'll try to see if I can go backwards to you, or if I don't answer your questions right away to you guys, always know you can put in the Q&A box, right? So, but you're dealing with all those things. Excuse me. And when you're talking about it, people go to this place of talking about we're a cult. No, like the story of mankind, not just our story, not just the story, but even his story is telling you these things, right? And thank you, Noop. Is it Noope or Noop? Noop Nitty? Appreciate it. Right? So, yeah, so what is good is, by the wording, good really means constitutional, and therefore evil is unconstitutional. So, watch this. Is it constitutional, or watch this? Let me put it like this. Let me give you a more modern way of looking at it. We talk about this all the time, so allow me to put this up again. I'm sorry, you said exactly. They say there's no more Israelites as if they died off or something. Right. All right, you ready? Peep game. I've said this plenty of times before. Peep game. Let me say this again. Can you patent something that's made by the creator? This is law. I'm not talking about, this is not some existential exercise. I'm talking about in written law. Are you allowed to patent something that is made by the creator? If I wanted to go and grab a leaf of this tree and go ahead and say I'm going to make it a herb, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cook it up and cook some things, and I'm going to strain it a few times, and I'm going to turn it into a tea. Could I patent it? Could I sell it to you as something? Could I sell it as SOC's tea? How you doing, Minister Select Joseph? The answer, of course, is no. It's illegal. Because why? If you look at the law, if the Most High made it, I cannot patent it. So what can I patent? Right? You said if you're the creator of it, yeah, but you're not the creator of the tree. So you couldn't patent it. Right? That's the point. In law, if the creator made it, they have it in there. They might call it God, but in their law, they say if the creator of who made heaven and earth made it, you cannot patent it. You cannot sell it as your own. You can still sell it, but you can't sell it and say that it's yours, right? You can't patent it because if so, anything that you get from anybody, including COVID, because COVID's patented. So anything that you get from somebody cannot be patented unless they unless they were able to modify it. You can only patent what is modified. If you modified it, then you can patent it. So you can't have a disease that's patented. You can't have money that's patented. You can't have anything that's patented. You can't have somebody telling you I got ownership over this word. I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, and you had something called this like 4 or 5 book. I think it was 4 books, like a book of encyclopedia type books or whatever, and it was written by the person who started it, by Charles Taze Russell. Jehovah's Witnesses were initially called Russellites. They followed Russell, right? That's why I'm not trying to have no Kofiites out there. We got servants of Christ. We got people who are Israel. We got people part of the diaspora, right? But I'm not no Charles Taze Russell. I'm not trying to have no followers of me, right? You need to follow the environment, follow the Most High, right? So, but you had Russellites, and Charles Taze Russell, he wrote this 4-book thing that we had, and he basically said, like, hey, you don't need to study your Bible as much as you need to study this thing called the insight. Now they call it the insight to scriptures. They might have changed the name again. It's been a long time since I've been part of that faith, that part of that community. But he said, basically, he said, if you had a choice between the Bible and what I wrote about the Bible, he said that you should actually study what I wrote about the Bible because you'll get more out of it than you will out of the Bible itself. Right? So he patented the word. And a lot of people do that. Don't listen to any other preacher. Just listen to me. You pray about something, the Most High gives you the direction. It says, yeah, but I taught you better than that. Da, 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 da. So you can't even get what the Most High is saying because they taught you better than the Most High. We live by things that are patented. So when you talk about the witchcraft piece, if you're still there, Sanchino, when you talk about the patented piece, right? When you're talking about it being patented, you got to comprehend that really what's going on or the witchcraft piece, you're talking about something where they genetically modified it. Yeah, like the Talmud. And then they try to tell you that, oh yeah, nowhere in your Bible does it say this, but nowhere in the Tanakh does it say this. But they'll tell people, they teach people in Israel or modern Israel, because it's not the same as Israel, but they teach people still to this day in modern Israel, hey, you know what, when Moses came down, he had the 10 Commandments in one side, and he had the Tanakh, so he had the Tanakh or the Torah, part of the Torah, right, in one hand, and he had what? He had the Talmud, the beginning of the Talmud, in the other. Nowhere will you see that, but only in a certain culture that's telling you that you're not what you're supposed to be. Nowhere have you seen that before. You won't see that at all. You don't even see that. You don't even see Talmud mentioned at all in even their version of the Tanakh. But that's what they've been teaching people. So you think that you meet somebody who's into Judaism, you think that they're worshiping or looking at the same thing that you are. They're not. It's been genetically modified, right? For example, you see how my hair grows naturally, right, within its nature. If I let my hair grow within its nature, you can see that things get longer, and then eventually new stuff pops up, and eventually I have something that twists together, right, and it'll be the form of a new lock or whatever the case might be, right? Just naturally the way it grows. When you see somebody in Judaism, they'll wear a hat, and they'll shave the middle part of their head, or they'll shave the whole head, really. Sometimes they might let curls and stuff grow on the side, hair and stuff try to grow on the side. But they'll shave the top of their head, they'll wear a hat, and the hat covers the shave part, and all you see on the hat, they have other curls that they put on the side, and it comes down, right? It's genetically modified. It's not naturally who they are. I'm not saying every Jewish person is evil, by the way, because you can be somebody who's born, a Jewish person, and still be somebody who can come into knowledge of the truth. But what I'm trying to tell you is that you're seeing something genetically modified. You're not seeing something that's reality. Did you catch that? Like, you're seeing something genetically modified. And you see that happen quite often, right? So, yeah, what Sanchina was talking about is very true as far as, yeah, there's something that was there where there's some power in the people. There's some stuff that we have. And by the way, a lot of stuff that people call witchcraft is not witchcraft. I'm not saying there's no such thing as witchcraft in Africa. I'm not saying that everything that's African, every single tribe, every single thing that everybody does, we need to recognize as being the same thing. We have things in Africa where people have modified things too. If you start worshiping the water rather than the person that made the water, you might have some issues going on, right? Right. But what we can say with certainty is that a lot of stuff that people think in Africa is witchcraft is because you were told that. So, for example, you think that voodoo is the same thing as voodoo, and you think that voodoo actually came from West Africa. But but you got to comprehend, you have a bunch of slaves or a bunch of people enslaved that they brought together in the same place. This is how the mindset worked. This is how Haiti got free. Haiti had a bunch of people from all over from people that were indigenous to the Americas. You have people that were indigenous to places in West Africa and even a little bit in the Central Africa. And you bring them all together. You have some of them that came from South America as well. You bring them all together and you had all this stuff. Now, what a big time religion of people from a specific place that was being brought over from West Africa was called Vodou. Vodou did not look like what you see in movies, nor does it look like what a lot of these of our Afrocentric brethren are doing nowadays. Vodou was something a little different. So they brought all these people together, right? And the most that they had was something called Vodou. So they just put all of the religions under Vodou and they put them together. So now you have a very perverted version of even what the original African version was. But they sat there and they fought underneath it. The reason why our people put so much power in stock in Vodou or Voodoo is because that was the religion that they all signed up for to fight for their freedom. That's the reason why a lot of people like Voodoo. They like voodoo because that was what the Haitian people said we'll fight for. They came together. There was what we call a priestess. That's not really what she was, but a voodoo priestess. There was a voodoo priest. There was Duddy Bookman. There was, and then eventually later on, even other people who came into it, they were okay, like Toussaint Louverture, Jean-Jacques de Leon, all these people that came together. They were looking specifically for something that's a movement that started off of this religion called Vodou or Voodoo. Voodoo was just the vehicle they used to bring everybody together to fight for their freedom. They didn't care. And I'm not saying that it's a righteous thing to say or anything, but I'm just saying in that position, them being enslaved and they wanted freedom, they said, look, we don't care what it's under. We don't care if it's under Christianity. We don't care if it's under demonic stuff. We don't care if it's under voodoo. We don't care if it's a mix of voodoo. We don't care if it's a perversion of voodoo. We don't care. Are we fighting for freedom? Oh, we are? Okay, cool. What I got to do? Okay, I go ahead and cut myself and we make a blood brother pack or a blood sister pack. Are we ready to fight? Let's fight. That's how voodoo became as known as what it is. Okay, she was the homie leader. Okay, or the homie, right? But that's what it actually is. So that's why people would be like, oh, it's witchcraft. Part of the reason why they say, now I'm not saying voodoo doesn't, especially the modernized version of it is not the original. So there's definitely a lot of witchcraft stuff going on, trying to control people, stuff like that. But why were they trying to come up with spells to control people? Because you have white people controlling them. So they were trying. It was a fight. Anything. It was all hands on deck. Every religion you got, throw it in this pot, call it voodoo. Let's go. Right? That's what it was. And we're not thinking about that. Or why do people look at voodoo as being bad? Well, when Haiti got its own independence, Haiti ended up messing up England. England had to bow out of slavery. Right? A lot of people, we think of it just as the French. The French had to bow out to chattel slavery. Napoleon lost his stuff. He had to sell land to America. The French that were in America for a little bit before the Americans came and took over them, they were able to break out some things because the French weren't able to stop what was going on over in places like Louisiana and stuff like that, right, in the French Quarter, all that stuff. You had England had to get rid of it. America was shaken by it, but obviously didn't get rid of it. Brazil was shaken, but obviously didn't get rid of it. But it affected everybody. Everybody was affected. The whole slave trade. A lot of people, even though they still did the slave trade and did more of it through prisons or and had servitude in that manner, but a lot of them had to get rid of chattel slavery being the real deal and the regular thing, and they had to use chattel slavery underneath capitalism. That's why capitalism grew, because Haiti got their independence. So a lot of people in chattel slavery have a huge heart that they're passionate about their offense towards voodoo, not just because it's witchcraft, but because it represents what tore down the entirety of this wicked system. People came together. Now, once they finished, voodoo didn't even remain the main thing that was in Haiti. They went back to like worshiping the Most High and stuff, a lot of them. right? But voodoo was like, yo, this is something we just gonna make sure this is our blood pack. We gonna fight. We know this ain't even everybody's religion. We don't care. We gonna fight. That's what voodoo represents for our people. So somebody would look at that and say everything in voodoo is witchcraft. Well, you got to go through even looking at that. Like, wait a minute, what was in Africa initially as voodoo? It didn't even look like what happened in Haiti. And what happened in Haiti, they only did that because they were fighting for their freedom. And a lot of people since then have kind of chilled out and been like, yo, we're not going to do what we were doing. And if we are, a lot of people today, even who are into voodoo or voodoo, will be like, yo, that's too far. There's a lot, there's levels to this stuff, right? Exactly, like language, culture, and stuff is demonized. So a lot of stuff that you find, if you go back to Africa, if you go to South America, if you stay right here in the Americas, right, or in North America, if you go to Europe, if you find black people to do certain things, for the longest time, right now they still like now they give us this stuff in pill form, right? Like I've been taking some stuff just to preventative. Sometimes you should take stuff like you shouldn't worry. Men, by the way, don't think about your prostate health when something bad happens to it. I've been taking stuff for a minute just to make sure that I get my keep my prostate health at a certain level, right? A lot of people don't even know. Like a lot of young boys, their prostate health starts diminishing when they're little, when they're like still in their teenage years. Like if you using the bathroom and you got to start, forgive me for being graphic, but if you're using the bathroom, you got to start shaking your penis. And ladies, if you watch some of your sons when they're little, they already starting to do some of that stuff or whatever, right? They have to do that. That's signs that your prostate health is already jacked up and messed up, right? So, but this used to be voodoo. They used to say this, right? This used to be witchcraft. Don't get this stuff. Don't do this. Don't do that. You get something to maintain your prostate and to use traditional herbs and nutrients for your prostate health. Oh man, you know what? That's messed up. That's jacked up. That's jacked up. Why would you do that? Right? Some of the reasons why you might have issues in the bedroom, prostate health. Right? But that used, but for me to take this, but because white people approve it, I don't even know if this might be a white company. In all honesty, I wasn't able to find out for sure. I usually try to go as much as I can support the diaspora, but I'm not sure if this product is white or black owned. Right? Either way, like this used to be, no matter who was selling it, this used to be considered to be witchcraft. Why? Because it wasn't Western medicine. You said the only people saying that are the ones who created whatever system this is we're living in. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So when you hear the word witchcraft, you got to be careful. Remember, there's a movie where they kind of sort of admit this, even though they still make it really mystical. What's that? It's with Sean Connery. I think it's called Medicine Man. Sean Connery. I forget who the white woman was, whatever. Um, that was in it, and they went and he had been there for years. He was looking for a cure to cancer or some form of cancer. I forget which form of it or whatever, and they couldn't find it, and they um, there was a medicine man that was out there that apparently knew how to cure it, but him and Sean Connery's character were beefing. So I haven't seen the movie in years. I saw it in like high school. They showed it to us in chemistry class or something like that. But they, what was that? They basically were, um, what was it they were doing? Oh yeah. So basically, I think him and the doctor, the witch doctor, were beefing, and because he was healing people, and the witch doctor was like, "Yo, that's supposed to be my gig," type thing, and but people still went to him, and he thought, and stuff like that, and but he finally found whatever it was when, for whatever reason, they were finally able to come together and talk, or whatever, and he finally was able to get the cure from the witch doctor or whatever. And they called him witch doctor, and yes, that the witch doctor have certain beliefs and certain things and dance and wear a certain thing and all that, but that was their responsibility. And what they taught us for so long, this is why the reason why we hate this stuff, and we say that anybody that they call a witch, because we don't call them witches in our tribes, but they call them witches. But they call them that because they were taken away from Western medicine. Yeah, one of the reasons why we believe, a lot of us believe that Dr. Sebi was killed. Same thing, right? And then they started selling his same product, for 3 times the price. Right? The same thing that they said he was wrong in. Same thing that people who watch support Vlad TV and stuff like that. Same thing that Vlad was up there basically like demeaning and saying because he didn't get he wasn't a doctor. Like as his Dr. Sebi called himself doctor. The reason why he called himself doctor was because there were a group of women, right, in one of the Caribbean islands he was on. They called him doctor. you know. But they don't like it when we call ourselves doctor. Like with my wife. My wife's a herbalist, and I always have to tell people, yeah, you know, she's a biologist by degree as well. She's a chemist as well, but hey, if you want, she got her degree. Why? Because a lot of people are like, oh, okay, cool. Since she went to a white school and they said she can be a chemist, I mean, I'm sorry, a biologist rather. Okay, cool. That means that I can trust what she's doing. But in reality, it would be her people that actually created what Western medicine is kind of sort of catching up to today. You said you have a feeling that schizophrenics are supposed to be shamans lost in the civilization. It could be some of that, right? A lot of that stuff comes from people not knowing where they are, as well as a spiritual thing, you know. But we don't realize that, right? So yeah. So but in the movie, yeah, like there was this doctor, but a lot of times they oppose us because in our culture, these medicine men and medicine women, right? Shamans, all these different names we have for them, they would be put out, and they would not be put out, but they would live away from the rest of most of the time. They would live away from everybody else. Why? Because they had to go to a spiritual place. They had to be in tune with nature. They had to always be around stuff that they could mix together. They could not be distracted. They had to be in prayer, right? They had to be in prayer about certain things. That was a mandate in order for them to do what they were supposed to do. And so here come people with Eurocentric values looking at our culture and being like, well, these people are backwards because they don't wear the same clothes we wear. These people are backwards because they do dances that we don't do. These people are backwards because they worship Yah in a way that's different from the way we worship God, right? Like here come people with a Eurocentric system of thought. And here we were taught the same Eurocentric of thought to stop hating them, to start hating ourselves, right? And so here we are hating ourselves and hating ourselves and hating ourselves and hating ourselves. And the reality is that in our culture, you should be separate. That's why I said, like the Levites, what were they? They were separate. They were not supposed to have jobs. Why? Because how you gonna make sure that you benefit the people of Yah in healing and emotional healing and trauma and the word of Yah and keeping the language there and writing things correctly? The list goes on and on. How you gonna do that if you doing what everybody else does? You cannot. So they had to be separated. But here come people with Eurocentric thought that say that the only way that you can worship Yah is to make sure that you bow down to the people that are in government. And the people in government should give you permission to worship God. Their gods, their deists, their deities, right? Julius Caesar has to be the one. People don't forget Julius Caesar was the person who was in charge of all the way that Romans worshipped, even though all Romans didn't worship the same deities. But he was in charge. The government gets to tell you. They get to tell you, separate church from state. Don't bring that belief system up in here. Don't be a royal priesthood. Don't bring your priesthood into royal conversations. But in our culture, we always bring royalty wherever we go, and we always bring priestliness wherever we go. We can't separate it. I can't turn it off. The second you ask me to turn it off is the second that you ask me to not be of my culture. The second you ask me to not be of my culture is the second that you ask me to capitulate. The second you ask me to capitulate, and when you ask me to start thinking about servitude, the second you ask me to think about servitude to you rather than to the Most High, all of a sudden that's a place of where I'm in debt to you. If I'm in debt to you, that's the second that you ask me to start thinking about slavery. If you ask me to start thinking about slavery, then I must be enslaved, or at least I'm considering it. See, but in our culture, you separate the person so that they can always be in a place of being in royalty and priestliness. You might have to concern yourself with a 9 to 5, and whether it's me or whoever else, you might have to consider yourself or consider your 9 to 5 all day. But you better make sure that you have somewhere to where whoever your person is, you go into leadership or advice. Please make sure that you give them. That's why all these people be on YouTube and stuff you're listening to, and they say all the time, "Hey, you know what? Please just like, just share, subscribe, hit the notification tab, like the video." You know why they're saying that? They're saying, hey, even you liking a video could be the difference between them making sure that they can legit just focus on your being greater versus them having to focus on, the boss needs me to, boss might need me for 10 extra hours this week. So I would give you something greater, but I can't give you what I'm supposed to. Yeah, we judge ourselves through European lenses, offending instantly when it comes to your arrogant side. Yeah, we bow down and give permission to people because we don't know. And once again, it all comes back to the same thing. So stop chasing money. It is something to get you into witchcraft. Once again, what is witchcraft? Witch is basically, if I could make it as plain as the nose on your face, including whatever this is that bit me on the tip of my nose, right? But if I could make this as plain as the nose on your face, what is witchcraft? Witchcraft is when you have a witch, somebody who controls and they craft something. They make something to help that with that control. And they created something called dollars. They created something called promissory notes, a C note, a check. They created these things, and therefore, since they created these things, it is what it is. As far as the 2030 agenda, I'm not sure because I hear about so many UN agendas. Um, I don't know which one we're talking about. Are we talking about the one that they're going to, basically strip land of everybody? Or are we talking about the one where they're going to put everybody in a place to where they have to be in servitude? Are we talking about the one they're going to kill off everybody? I'm not even sure, in all honesty. Um, and I'm sorry, somebody had asked me earlier about the what I was talking about for the prostate stuff. This is just called, it's from Nature's Life. It's backwards on your screen, but except on YouTube. But it's Nature's Life. Is the company Sun Food Energy. It is just called Prostate Maintain 600 Plus. The ingredients are um, vitamin B6, zinc, copper, saw palmetto, which is stuff you can get yourself, by the way, right? Pumpkin. Um, it's like a bark extract. They have it Pygeum. I think it's like Prunus africana. If you're looking for it, Pygeum. I'm pretty sure it's Prunus africanum. Active aminos. So you got like L-glumatic acid, stuff like that. And then you got burdock, great for you. Cayenne, great for you. Juniper, great for you. Marshmallow, which by the way, like a lot of people don't even know. There's like an actual real marshmallow instead of the fake marshmallows people eat. A lot of people don't know that, which is very interesting to me. And then of course you got, I think it's the marshmallow root if you're gonna do it yourself, and then you got parsley. And if you're using parsley in this sense, as far as this form, you're probably gonna have to do the leaf versus something else. So if you're asking about it, once again, the name of it is, the company's name is Nature's Life, Sun Food Energy, and the actual pill itself is called Prostate Maintain 600 Plus. Right, and depending on your size, it's depending on how much you take. I'm 6'5.5", so I take 2 of them every day. But I've been taking them for a little bit now. I'm gonna take it until I finish it out. And it's gonna be something preemptive. So somebody asked, "Am I a Hebrew Israelite?" I am a Hebrew. I'm an Israelite. Do with that what you will. All right, here you go one last time. You're taking a screenshot. It's backwards on your screen, but you can just read it backwards. I'm trying to. All right. There you go. Kofi_42. Sorry. All right, there you go. YouTube. Yeah. So, but thank you all so much. What is it? Do you have any suggestions on asking our ancestors for guidance? Because some may not be healed / helpful. As far as what our ancestors have done, we focus on be eternal. Some people, depending on what your belief system is, it's not my tribe that holds this belief system, but depending on what your belief system is, you might think that you can actually talk to the ancestors. I would go by your ancestors. They set examples. They have a certain culture. They have certain ways of doing things, and those things are maintained in what they wrote out or what they gave you as far as law. Your obeying law is basically you're keeping up with the ancestors want you to keep up. Some people might want you to talk about you got to pray to this person and pray to Harriet Tubman and pray to Sojourner Truth and pray to Queen Ty and pray to whomever. I pray to Elohim, right? But I also study what my ancestors did, and when I look at the two and I compare the two, they basically did the same thing that I'm doing, right? So I'm probably the wrong person to talk about that. I'll repeat the supplement one more time. Nature's Life, Sun Food Energy, and then it says what name of this particular thing is Prostate Maintain 600 Plus. Prostate Maintain 600 Plus. Company name Nature's Life, and it's non-GMO. Comes with 250 vegetarian capsules. So if you're vegetarian, it's something that works out for you. But thank you guys. Amen. Talk to y'all. Let them lead you for sure. So, but thank you all for being on. I appreciate it. And once again, and here's something. Whether you believe you talk to the ancestors or not, as we get ready to take our leave, whether you talk to them or not, your ancestors, they did certain things a certain way. The problem is that you don't know what they did. Even if you believe in the Bible, if you don't believe in the Bible, if you believe in chemistry, I believe in chemistry, by the way. I don't believe in the all the natures and everything, but I believe in chemistry and different things like that. If you're going to be in those positions and do what you're supposed to do, hey, how you doing, Sister Barbara? And you're going to do all these great things. I just want you to realize and recognize kings and queens. All right, you ready? I just want you to realize and recognize something simple. You ready? Something simple. You got to know the culture. We say this all the time as we take our leave. You got to know the culture. A lot of people don't know the culture. So, since we're not aware of our culture, since we don't know where our culture comes from, since we don't know what's going on in our culture, et cetera, we're we're in a place where we don't know what to do. Right? When you know your culture, you'll be doing the same thing that your ancestors did. And that's really what you want to get into. There are a lot of people that read the Bible and don't know about the shuts is the first word. If you know the first word, then you know how the rest goes. But since you don't know, you won't be there. Oh, okay, hey, user. Oh, okay, that's Sister Marion on there. User 167. Why is it telling me use the? I don't know if you changed the name or it's probably because you got a different one on there. Okay, cool, right? But these are the things that we have to know about. We have to realize. We have to recognize. We have to think about, and we just don't think through it, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and take my leave. I've got some calls to make. I will be off tomorrow. We're on every day, 8 a.m. Eastern New York time, and every weekday, 8 p.m. Eastern New York time. Besides other things we do on Zoom, whether they be classes or, men's meeting, women's meeting, children's stuff, uh, SOC meetings, whatever the case might be. However, I will be off tomorrow, but we will be back on tonight, and we will have our free conference call for those who want to be part of that. We will have that for those who will be on, where one of our ministers will be able to teach for those who want to make sure that they're getting this every day and don't want to drop off. We still have something prepared for you all. As just personally, I need to take time off from time to time, so I do so once a week. But we will have our Patreon on tonight, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time for those that are interested in coming on with us and spending some time with us. 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time will be on for our Patreon members, and then at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time tonight, everybody else will join in with us. We'll be talking about purification tonight, so if that's something that interests you, feel free to join us. We look forward to having you guys soon, so thank you so much. We're going to try this thing out for about a week, maybe 2 weeks at the most. Kofi underscore 42 being on at the same time. Kofi underscore 43 is on. We'll see what happens numbers wise, and we'll see where we want to try and maybe direct the traffic to, so that at some point, if somebody tries to take us down on one, we can be on the other. But we thank you guys. We're thankful to Yah that He's continuing to have these things up. And don't forget, I'm gonna go ahead and don't forget, we're sending out today. I'm trying to send out Google Calendar invites, but don't forget we're sending out today. Uh, we're probably going to do a Google Calendar invite with our whole schedule on it. So those that are in different areas, those that are part of SOC, you'll probably all get the same thing. It's going to take me a minute today, but we'll just have a Google Calendar invite for all the days where we're going to be certain places, so you guys will know if you're in the area where we're going to be, what we'll be doing, and you'll have a number also to contact us. So look at the description box for each one that we have, right? Look at the description box uh, where it says description for each Google Calendar invite. You'll see exactly a number you can reach us at, where we plan on trying to be. If it's not in there yet, where we're trying to be, then know that before we get there, it will be updated, right? But that's probably the easiest way for us to do it. Just have Google Calendar invites for each and every place we're going to be. So we'll have the dates, times, addresses, all that stuff. And from that point on, you just need to check in. All right, we don't want to put it publicly where everybody sees it. So if we don't have your email, or if you're interested in finding us, hey, we've been saying this for the longest time. You can DM us. You can reach us at the information. YouTube. I'm gonna make sure I correct it because we've been doing this to where we haven't been putting stuff in the description box for the last few videos. So we're gonna try to make sure that's taken care of too. But everybody, please, ma'am, please, sir, be ready. We're gonna have this stuff in order for you guys. And so if you want to be with us in this time that we're going to be traveling within the next 3 weeks, I believe it is. Yeah, something like in the next 3 weeks, possibly 4. No, like the next 3 weeks, we're going to be hitting the trail hard. So we're going to be going, we're still, North Carolina, DMV, Philly, St. Louis, H-Town, Rawlins, San Fran. All right. So we're gonna have that information for everybody. Please make sure, please, ma'am, please, sir. If I don't have it already, if we get your email, right, just email us. If we don't have your email us. Also, we're gonna be meeting up later this year, October 14th through the 16th, for the Holy Convocation. That's gonna be in the D in Detroit. The theme of it's gonna be looking beyond what you see. So we're gonna be excited. We're excited about that. Baptism will be done there as well. There's a possibility for those that want to be baptized. If we come to your place, we can do that too. But we got to find a water source. Y'all gonna have to help me with that. I don't care if it's outside. If you don't care if it's outside, I'm not saying y'all got to wear anything particular. Just make sure that if I'm gonna be the one putting you under the water, please make sure that you are covered up, ladies and men, because men be wearing foolish stuff too, right? But if I'm be, all I'm asking, put a T-shirt over it. If you ain't got nothing, that's cool. But we'll be doing that for sure in October. Those in Florida, probably gonna have to come by you guys in the month of September sometime. All right, but we will try to hit up Florida sometime soon as well. But we thank you all. We appreciate you. Um, okay, I see you, Brother Clem. So we appreciate you. If I don't find it for whatever, Brother Clem, I'll make sure that I reach out to you to get it. But I'm pretty sure I have your stuff. But we're gonna put all that stuff out to everybody. We hope to see you guys in all these locations. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your talent, your effort, your energy. Some of you even give finances, whatever it is. Some of you give your resources, your mental resources, all these great things. But we're gonna come out of this together. Remember how great you are. Remember Romans 8:1. Don't condemn yourself. Remember Romans 8:11. You're eternal. Romans 8:18. That your suffering in this present time is not worthy to be compared to the glory which is going to be revealed. Remember Romans 8:19. You are the manifestation. Remember Romans 8:28. All things are beneficial. We're getting it in. We're doing exactly what the Most High says, and can't nobody stop us. The only person that's going to stop you is you. And I just say, why not stop you from stopping you, right? Well, we thank you. We appreciate you. We honor you. Please check out my wife's stuff, as always, The Honorable Amma. You can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A-N-D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. And thank you very much for that, for the love. Appreciate you guys. She's a healer, herbalist. She's a healer, herbalist. I lost my track. Bloom and Flourish. She's a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. And the tincture, even though she has many tinctures and many things for healing, which you can text her and talk to her about, the tincture this month is I Beat Diabetes. And if you'd like to get her number, I'm going to say it 4 times for you guys. You can reach her at 410-469-1553. Again, that's 410-469-1553. Again, I say, you can reach her at 410-469-1553. Last time, you can reach her at 410-469-1553. All right. Also, too, don't forget, you can go to Kofi-Ofori.com, Kofi-Ofori.com, not just for stuff for her and her business and stuff, but also for other businesses as well. You can click on Black Book. Once you click on that, you can look at Bloom and Flourish. You can look at Bev's Body Butter. You can look at what Minister Sonia's doing with Reiki healing. You can see what people are doing. I'm sorry, I can't remember everybody's names attached to everything, but we have people doing stuff as far as we have people doing stuff as far as like air conditioning. I mean, we got people doing stuff as far as legal documentation. The list goes on and on. We have somebody that does stuff as far as putting music together for you. The same brother that does that also can help you with your product as far as making sure that he can get your stuff out there through social media. We have Minister Nice that can do that as well. And she's also putting some stuff together as far as her business and things like that. We're looking forward to her book coming out. There's a lot of different things that we have. We have Minister Tamron doing things with T-shirts. We have Brother Jermaine is going to be helping with things with T-shirts. The list goes on, the talent and the business and things that we have. So let us know if you're interested in that. You go to Kofi-Ofori.com. That's Kofi-Ofori.com. And you can reach us there. If we don't have your information, like your email address or whatever, once again, DM us or just put it in, or DM us or go on the website, Kofi-Ofori.com, and simply get our information. Email us today, outside of calls and outside of picture. My goal basically to give you all the whole thing today, besides making sure my son has kung fu today, besides making sure that my wife feels loved today, and besides making sure that I catch up on calls and Patreon today. My whole world today is making sure that people get information about where we're going to be, right? So if I don't have your email address, please make sure you get it to it. My whole world today is nothing but, do I have these emails? Do I have information and things like that? Also, too, don't forget to find out more information. You can contact us. You can text us at either the number that you'll see for SOC or the number you'll see for Bloom and Flourish. Text us about the stuff for Poppin' Popcorn. We have a couple people who are going to be helping out with that specifically now that you'll probably hear from time to time. We're going to try and make sure they get a list of names and things. And we've worked out the rules and regulations for that. So if you'd like to help us with that so we can continue to make sure to reach our goal as far as getting our land together, and that is something that you don't have to physically give out anything. All you got to do is just basically send out links to people, or when you're talking to somebody, mention it and say, hey, we're trying to do this or whatever. Would you mind getting it? I see, here's some snacks, instead of buying snacks from the store or whatever, why don't you get some from us? Da da da. And we're going to get 50% of the profit from the company we're working with. So if that's something you're interested in, if you're interested in donating to Yah's Land Project, or would like to know how it's working to see if there's something you can do to help us, please let us know that as well. I also know YLP83, some of you still need that Google Docs link. So my day is going to be consistent today. As soon as we finish this, I got like 2-3 calls. And then after that, all I'm doing today is event. We'll be here, we'll be here then, we'll be here then, we'll be here then, right? So if we don't have your information and you don't get information on, hey, join up with us to meet in this place, that place, or whatever, I can't call it, right? But we're gonna try and hit all these different places. I might even try to see about adding Florida in there, depending on what my wife's schedule is looking like for September. And maybe we'll try, because we had some issues with the Georgia meetup. Maybe we'll try to get Georgia happening again too, and hopefully everything will work out. But hopefully you guys are doing well. We appreciate the King and Queen in each and every one of you. As always, this has been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant to Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. And until I have the next chance, honor and privilege of being in front of you again, which for some of you will be Patreon at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time. For others, it'll be at 8 o'clock p.m. right here in these same places that we're meeting today. I want you to remember, as always, yesterday, that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, take care, be at peace. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you guys soon.